listening to the sweet sounds of the After Movie Diner, which turned 10 years old in 2021. Insert suitable sounds of shock and awe now. If you enjoy the show and have pursued the recommended treatment from your medical providers, why not support the show on Patreon over at patreon.com/aftermoviediner. You can also donate to the show directly at aftermoviediner.com. Rate and review the show wherever podcasts are found and rating and reviewing is possible. Even a 1-star review provides useful insights on exactly the sort of petty-minded and wretched individual who negatively reviews free entertainment they do not need to be consuming. And now, try to contain your outrage and yawns. Here is your host, John Cross.
Hello, yes, that's right. Your ears and thighs and the little jellied bits that occasionally hang from your nostrils do not deceive you. I am John Cross, and I'm recording this in brightly floral pajamas at an undisclosed location, having just spent quite a ridiculous amount of time trying to escape from some beef Wellington. Our guest on this, the first show of 2022, was born in a Colco Telstar Sportsman underneath a pool table to the strains of Laserhawk and next to a jar of pickled eggs. By the time he was in junior school, he ran the local Tiddlywinks and Tag Federation, which, when it was disbanded in 1987 due to a child losing their thumbs in a particular tense match at a local meat processing plant, had over 532 members. Some of those people would grow up and form a production company specializing in business training films where, for no discernible reason, the entire cast always had to be dressed in thick, itchy turtlenecks, but completely naked from the waist down, and some of the others went on to live lives of crime in realty and local government. Our guest, the legendary, humble, and facially follically endowed Scott Toomey, however, chose a different path. He travelled out east to study with a shaman of Bangor, Maine, who taught him the best way to fry a lobster, skin an otter, and intimidate tourists with thick accents and the vague sense that maybe once, while in the wilds of the northeast, they killed a man, ate some of him to keep warm, and buried the rest in a place they occasionally returned to with a companion to make out like teenagers on a nearby log, them never knowing the horrors that took place there just years before. Ending up in Massachusetts, Scott paid his way through college by touring the local bars and theaters pretending to be an Atari Pong machine or whistling Lupus Nocte tracks until people gave him money to stop. His interest in all things 80s and analog took him to renting a basement underneath a Chinese takeout where there had definitely been murders and late-night seedy sex parties, and filling it full of VCRs, the odd Sega Genesis, and huge pictures of Chevy Chase, but never wiping down any of the furniture. Online, he likes to pretend he's an upright citizen, just your average suburban husband, father, and movie fanatic who likes to collect old audio cassettes of Depeche Mode, which he uses to build into weird sculptures depicting large shoulder-padded villains from 1980s Italian Mad Max ripoffs in order to scare Jehovah's Witnesses into knocking on his door so that he has a captive audience to listen to Mitch Murder and Electric Youth with. But we all know the truth, and over the next 2 hours, hear our intrepid interviewer and host John Cross, that's me, get him to admit all of his deep, dark secrets while seemingly and simply discussing a couple of movies. The clues are there, though, for people with keen enough cheeks.
Yes, happy to be here.
How you doing, Chief?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. So I started my 2022, as this will be the first episode of the new year, by the way, that'll go out. I started it with a ravenous film-watching appetite again, and I always like getting that back. It had been a while, I think, especially during, working from home, obviously living at home, the pandemic. We've moved 3 times in the last year. So my head has been all over the place, as one might imagine. And we were doing your Friday night, Michael Knight, Synthwave stuff. Yep. We were doing Holly Danger. We were doing a lot more of that kind of interactive stuff. We weren't kind of sitting watching movies. But we just moved back to the cottage in Connecticut where we were for most of the summer before Kim broke her ankle. We just moved back here, and I don't know what it is, man. I was like, fuck it, I'm not leaving them in storage. I'm bringing the Blu-rays out. I'm bringing the DVDs out. I'm going to start watching movies again.
You gotta.
Oh, man. And I tell you what, I'm back in it again. I'm watching movies. I'm getting pumped about movies. And I love that, dude, because when it goes away, for like a movie fan like me where so many of my life's touchstones are films or film-based or friendships I've made through film or, whatever it is.
Like ours.
Like ours, like our friendship that we made through this podcast and through our mutual podcasting acquaintances. I just when it comes back, dude, it feeds you. It's just it's a wonderful way to get through the winter as well. So how are you feeling about the start of 2022? You are a recently new papa, second time sequel baby. Two-time world champ. Feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good about the upcoming year. I always try to take the glass half full perspective when I think about things and where things are headed and whatnot. But yeah, the girls. I live with three girls now. My wife and my two daughters. Yeah,
and they're all great. Everybody's great.
And, they're exceptional.
I just started back to work this week, kind of like on a part-time basis. I'm still kind of on paternity leave in some ways. So that's interesting. We'll see how it goes. It's the COVID is just going through everybody I know right now. So,
it is. Yeah. Have you avoided it completely?
Yes.
Or did you?
We've been lucky. We've completely avoided it.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll keep the fingers crossed and hope that is the way things continue to go.
Yeah, no. Well, we'll obviously keep you in our thoughts and hope that's the case too. Kim and I, to our knowledge, have avoided it this whole time.
Yeah.
So and obviously with triple vax and all that good stuff.
Yep.
I'm a little anxious because beginning of February, I got to go out to Vegas to do a trade show with my company. And it doesn't matter what I say or what I do because we've been 2 years without a trade show.
Yeah.
This is happening. That train is rolling. It doesn't matter whether I paint a rail track on a big boulder and try and stop the train. It's just plowing through it.
Yep.
So I got to go out to Vegas. I just booked my flights today. I'm not looking forward to it. However, I don't have young children at home. So if I get sick with the vax and everything else, hopefully I just get a little fluey.
Yep.
I come home, I stay in the spare room, I do my due diligence and all that stuff. I eat soup, I take, paracetamol and vitamins, and I get on with it. But
bring
still,
your KN95s, and I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. Nobody wants to get sick. I mean, it would be the same as if someone said to me, you are going to a big enclosed building where we know for a fact multiple people have the flu. You wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that sounds like fun. It's not even about COVID anymore. It's just, I don't want to get sick. It's been nice not being sick for 2 years. I still want to get sick again.
Well, the funny thing for me is, I was never really a big traveler until I met my wife. And my wife is from California, so we go out there, once or twice a year most of the time. Yeah. And I swear every time I fly, either out there or back here, I come down with something for a couple of days. It was like a little cold or whatever. So even before COVID started, I was starting to think I think I might just start wearing a mask when I fly now, just because I want to try to lessen the possibility of having some kind of a sickness after I either get home or get there for vacation.
Well, yeah, and I mean it's also because if you haven't traveled a lot, if you're not a well-worn traveler, if your shoes do not have holes in them from the dusty desert roads you've walked, then it's also the time difference. It's the physical exertion. It's all the sort of things you don't get used to. I mean, funnily enough, is before the pandemic, I was traveling quite a bit. I mean, not only were we doing the 2 trade shows a year, but Kim and I had flown out to other places and done other things, and so and now that I can drive, we've been doing a lot of driving about the place. So we've been we've done a bit of upstate, we've done down to North Carolina where Kim's sister is, and some other places. But yeah, with the Decepticon or whatever the new variant is. Blowing through, it's hunkered down, man. And look, if I get it when I come back from Vegas, I get it. But I'm going to try my damned hardest not to. But it is what it is. I mean, I can't say that there isn't some anxiety bubbling around in the back of the brain box, but we'll do our best to kind of keep it down a little bit.
That's all you can do.
Just enjoy. But no, as I say, what has been fueling me since the new year has been this my renewed love of film. I've burnt through some some incredible movies of late. I've been on the Letterboxd, which is my new favorite app. I mean, it's not my new favorite app. I've been on Letterboxd forever, but for some reason, I feel fresh, Scott. I feel new as when I was a child.
Daisy.
As when I was a child, and I've been back on. I've been back on Letterboxd. I've been making lists.
Yep.
I've been adding films. So yeah, I've just been doing a whole bunch of stuff.
I love it. I can feel the energy. I can feel it. It's seeping through my computer screen and my microphone. I'm drenched in your energy right now.
I am. So, well, that sounds both disgusting and alluring, and I'm happy about that. But no, I would urge everyone to check out After Movie Diner on the Letterboxd website and see what I've been watching, read some of my reviews, because I don't really post a lot of reviews on the website anymore, but I write the odd little review on Letterboxd. It always exercises the mind a little bit, tries to get your thoughts down on paper, as it were. And we had talked last year, and I forget when, about doing movies in which children or teenagers became spies or secret agents. That was kind of the theme. Kids in a adult's world, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
I was very familiar with two particular films of the genre. One is If Looks Could Kill, which I knew growing up as Teen Agent. Mm-hmm. And the other one is is it Never Too Young to Die? Or it's Never Too Young to Die, right? Is the full title. Yep. I just always think of it as the Gene Simmons from Kiss transvestite movie. You'll see the whole Rocky Horror overtones when you watch the movie.
I'm excited.
It's a joy to behold. Mm-hmm. So I had proposed those two, and you had proposed Cloak and Dagger and Gotcha. So as this is part one, ladies and germs, we're going to have two-parter on this whole theme, and those are the four films we're going to cover. We may even eke into a third part if we find a couple of other ones skulking about the fringes of 80s and 90s movie video shelves. But Scott, how about you tell us, dude, like, go back in time, young child Scott, wet behind the ears, standing in the video store, Mummy, can I rent this tonight? Where did what are your experiences with the two let's start with the two we're going to cover tonight, Cloak and Dagger and Teen Agent, or If Looks Could Kill.
So I'll start with Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger is a movie that I saw at least bits and parts of when I was really, really young. I think my parents had recorded it off of television. I don't know if it was network TV or if it was some kind of pay-per-view type of deal. I don't know. I always get very confused about how cable was in the 80s because we used to have a lot of movies that were taped off of something that was called Preview. Right. I have no idea what that is, but I remember we had a lot of movies that was taped from Preview, or that were taped from Preview. And Cloak and Dagger was one of them. But I don't think that I actually saw it in its entirety until I got a little bit older. In order to explain my love for this beautiful subgenre, I have to go back to junior high school, which was when I discovered.
Are you about to tell us that your father was secretly an agent working against the Soviet Union, and you discovered that, and you went on an exciting adventure?
Oh, no such luck. That would have been cool. He was a police officer, but not a secret agent.
He didn't fight the Soviets, though.
No. Not that I know of. Anyway, he hasn't told me otherwise.
Buried it down, deep down.
Yeah. But when I was in junior high school was when I discovered James Bond, who, I feel like James Bond is probably everybody's or most everybody's exposure to spy films, spy stories, what have you. And
it's sort of the touchstone for everything. It's sort of the touchstone for spy films, thrillers, the action genre. Like it kind of covers all the and it's got all the stuff. It's got the babes, the gadgets, the cars. It's sort of, especially Goldfinger. Once you watch that one, it sort of establishes stuff that you're still seeing today in Mission Impossibles and Fast and Furiouses and everything else. But carry on, dude.
So if I feel like if you're at that age and you discover James Bond, it's only natural for you as a young male or maybe even as a young female to develop a kind of like a daydream like scenario where you wish you could be a spy or a secret agent or something like that. And little did I know that there was a subgenre of wonderful little films that discuss or portray that actual topic.
We've all been that adolescent or slightly pubescent kid with their hair slicked back and a comb in our hand like it's a gun, posing in the bathroom mirror. We've all done that. And if you haven't done that, you haven't lived, and you can stop listening to my show right now, because that is a quintessential part of growing up the last 5 decades that James Bond has been putting out films. If you haven't pretended to be, like for me, it was T-Dolt, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember when I was 9 years old, I had the License to Kill annual. They released like a book which you could put which had information in about the movie, and I would just look at pictures of Carrie Lowell and just be like, oh my god. And then Richard Gere swooped in and took her from me.
Son of a bitch,
Richard Gere. First the gerbils, then he came for Carrie. But there's that great picture of T-Dolt. In fact, the other thing, one of my best friends, John Wallace, who's been on the show many, many times, in fact, kind of started off as the main host of the show back in the day. Someone, I think his mom was working for the marketing agency, or someone was working for the marketing agency for the movie, and he had a standee, like just a tabletop standee from License to Kill, from the original title, which was going to be called License Revoked. Yep. Until it was deemed that people didn't know what the word revoked meant.
People in America didn't know what the word revoked.
But the photograph of T-Dolt with his the pose
classic,
with the gun and the finger and the whole bit. I would just do that the whole time. Slick the hair back, just do the thing. Although weirdly, when we were out on the playground, John and I as kids, we were much more likely to play a version of either the A-Team, that kind of like running around as if a stick is a machine gun and kind of calling each other Hannibal or Murdoch or whatever. Or we would play like war, like kind of those British war movies of the 50s and 60s that were always on TV, Where Eagles Dare or whatever in the UK. But I mean, Bond was my franchise, like for decades. Like when people used to talk, especially our generation, they would talk a lot about like Star Wars or whatever, and I'd be like, I'm an Indiana Jones, James Bond guy. It doesn't mean that I hated Star Wars. It didn't hit me in the feels. Bond and Indiana Jones, though, that was where it was at for me, because I was I guess I was like a action kind of kid, run, fall over, jump, rich fantasy life kind of thing.
Sure.
So I loved the A-Team. I loved Bond films. I loved Indiana Jones. If I had any kind of sci-fi growing up, it was more, it was either stuff like Gremlins or Tremors or one of them, or it was a bit later in my teens, it was Star Trek, because Wrath of Khan is just the daddy. So I think I had never seen Cloak and Dagger before watching it for this episode, but if looks could kill, or Teen Agent as we knew it in the UK, and I think a slightly better title, Teen Agent. It just rolls off the tongue a little better. Because if looks could kill is just a bit aggrandizing of Richard Grieco. It's just a bit like, he's so goddamn handsome. I'm like, I don't know about that. Although I'm rocking a bit of the Grieco flicky mullet right now. I've got a bit of the Grieco post-pandemic mullet going on.
Love it.
That one I came to probably just at the end of junior school, early high school, when, and I don't know if this was like unique to me or whether all schools in the UK did this, but on rainy days when we couldn't go out and play sports, normally a Wednesday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon, those were the two sports days for boarding schools. We would either throw a movie on or go rent a movie, or a movie would be screened in a music room somewhere or something. Like, there were just movies as I was growing up. It was just it was a weird thing. Like when I was at school, I remember vividly like crowding into the music room with a bunch of my classmates, and they'd thrown a sheet up on the wall and they were projecting like Labyrinth and Temple of Doom and Biggles' Adventures in Time, which I'm also going to talk on the show about later.
Nice.
But all those kind of Never-Ending Story, that kind of stuff. And Teenage I was a bit older, so it was probably early 90s. I was probably just about starting high school, and I think we probably rented the VHS. It was I remember it being a video store rental, and just thinking it was just goofy knockabout fun. Like it was just a goofy knockabout fun. I loved the the Q spy gadget training montage when they go in, or sequence when they go into the bunker and everyone's trying stuff out. Because I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. That's done really well. And then I think I obviously didn't watch it for years. And then when Warner Archive first came about online and were putting out their DVDs about every 6 months, kind of like the Barnes and Noble Criterion sale that everyone jumps on once a year. About twice a year, Warner Archive used to do like 5 for the price of 4 or something like that, like a bundle deal. And I would just sit there for a day, and because there was so many titles on Warner Archive, I would just scroll through and be like, oh, shoot, haven't seen that in ages. Bing, I'll get that one or whatever. And If Looks Could Kill was one of those. And I've probably owned it now about 5 years, watched it a couple of times in that time. So it's definitely one that I've spent time with and liked most of my life. Cloak and Dagger, however, I think... Again, there may be some UK fans out there. It may have been a formative movie for some UK generation, but I do feel, maybe because it was played on cable a lot or TV a lot over here, I feel it's more of a US coming-of-age movie because Kim and her sisters definitely knew of it. Yeah. Like, you grew up with it. And other people on the Facebook page have also said that that's kind of how they experienced it. So I'm going to plump with that. I'm going to say it was one that didn't necessarily cross the pond.
Yeah, I'm looking right now, and I'm looking at the release dates on IMDb, and it doesn't even show a UK release date. It shows
there you go. You see,
US, Canada, Australia, and Peru and Mexico and Uruguay.
Wow.
That's it. So if that information is correct, it probably never had a theatrical release over in the UK.
Well, that's maybe why then. Although, I mean, I have to say, like, when you recommended it, the poster was readily familiar. And but I mean, for example, we had War Games over in the UK. So we definitely saw the Broderick War Games vehicle, but Cloak and Dagger, not so much. Funnily enough, the two movies that I remember, Dabney Coleman, who is the lead or the second lead in Cloak and Dagger, the movies I remember him in were Short on Time, which was on every VHS that I owned, had a Short on Time trailer on it, which is the one where they get his diagnosis mixed up with someone else's diagnosis, and he thinks he has like a week to live, and he's a cop.
I don't know that one.
So every time there's a dangerous situation, like he's a cop, right? He's like a donut eating over the hill cop, and every time there's a dangerous situation, a bomb going off, or someone about to commit suicide, or whatever it is, he thinks he's only got like 3 or 4 days to live or whatever. So he's just like, fuck it, I'll do it. But he doesn't really know that he's fine. Cool. He's not going to die at all. So it's this whole thing. And it's just an excuse to have a bunch of like outrageous action sequences.
Sure.
But it's, again, another one of my favorite video store rentals from back in the day. And obviously 9 to 5, which is the big Coleman movie where he plays the misogynistic boss to Lily Tomlin, Dolly Parton, and Jane Fonda, and that is one of my wife's favorite films. So nice. So that's where I know Coleman from, but I had not seen this yet.
Oops, sorry. I wasn't ready. I was busy pickling some fish. I like pickling things. Fish, vegetables, running shoes. Anyway. Apologies. We sadly have to pause for some ads. Maybe if more of you supported us on Patreon. But there it is. The After Movie Diner doesn't endorse any of these advertisers. We don't even know what you're going to hear. It's forced technical AI wizardry. And don't fool yourself. None of us are in control. The robots are coming, and they want to sell us insurance.
You want to talk about Cloak and Dagger first?
Yes, dude. Why don't you lay down the plot, as this was your recommendation? I give the floor to you, my friend.
Okay, so Henry Thomas, who everybody knows from E.T., he was probably fresh off of E.T. Right around when he did this movie. Stars as young David Osborne, who I have to would probably guess that he's maybe like 10 or 11 in this movie. The character that he plays, anyway.
Yeah, he's on the edge of 10,
11, 12.
Getting rid of childish things and maybe moving more into kind of puberty and yeah.
So he's very into spy games. He likes to play a role playing game, board games. He's very into video games and just pretty much a normal what we would consider a normal kind of nerdy 80s kid who's very much into his stuff.
Yeah.
His mom has recently passed, and he lives with his dad, who's in the Air Force and isn't really around very much. So he pretty much busies himself with his video games and loses himself within his games and his imagination, so to speak. He comes across or gets handed a video cartridge of one of his favorite video games, Cloak and Dagger. And it just so happens that it has some top secret military plans built into it, installed on it. And
because thanks to his games, he has this rich fantasy life. So he still has an imaginary friend. So when you see in the movie as an audience, this guy gets shot and hand him the cartridge with the secret plans on it. You don't know if it's real or not. Like, that's the best thing about this versus, and no one else in the movie knows that it's real or not either. But
and one of the interesting things is that the actor who plays his father and the actor who plays his imaginary friend is Dabney Coleman. Dabney Coleman plays both characters, which I always thought was a really cool was a really cool thing to do.
It's sweet because what it does is it tells you that deep down in his subconscious, his dad is his hero all along. That's what I love about it. And fathers and sons, man, it gets me right in the in the feels. The
and
whole
this
time.
this is definitely one I always like to tell tell people that this movie is from the golden age of family films.
Yes,
in the mid to late 80s when Disney and these other companies would put out these family movies that everybody could sit around the TV and watch and enjoy.
They weren't so childish that your dad would be like, "Oh, I got to sit and watch this nonsense."
Right.
But they weren't so adult that you couldn't sit a kid down in front of them. But and this probably, this fits in with Flight of the Navigator, Young Sherlock Holmes, Indiana Jones.
Chomps.
Sorry.
Did you ever see Chomps?
Did not see Chomps.
Chomps, I think was like a Disney special about I don't know if it was like a robot dog or something. I don't know. It was crazy stuff.
But even The Journey of Natty Gann, which is a favorite of my wife's, which is a Disney movie with Meredith Salinger in it. Even that is has some real adult moments in it, and it's a rip roaring cross country adventure sort of thing. And it's back when we just didn't talk down to anyone. No one was talked down to. It was just in fact, if anything, weirdly, E.T. is probably, of this entire generation, the most childish of films in that way. I mean, even Disney animations back in the day that I was watching growing up were adult in humor or adult in design. I mean, the story I've told on the podcast a bunch is the first ever movie I ever went to see in the theater. I was 3 years old and went and saw the reissue of Fantasia. And with the Knight in Bald Mountain, the whole bit, the big scary demon and the whole bit, that was in a so-called kids movie. What I mean? It was, they didn't talk down, they didn't protect us. And And I think we're much better, but also probably more fucked up for it.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
No big deal. Oh, man. But so, yeah, he gets this video game cartridge that has these top secret plans on them. And then the game begins, basically. And his imaginary friend is kind of, leading him along the way and giving him advice. And he's being chased by these three I used to be scared to death of the two main the two main thugs there, the big guy with the mustache and then the other guy. But yeah, this movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love it so much. And now even as an older man, when I watch it, I find myself, I tear up when I watch it now because the father-son stuff really hits for me.
Right. Oh no, definitely. I mean, I'm the guy that when people say like what movie makes you cry, I always say that bit at the end of Rushmore when it cuts to Seymour Cassell and he's just like, that's my boy. And I'm just every time, just saying that, the hair on my arms go up because there's something about fathers and sons, man. It's deeply, deeply ingrained. No matter whether you have a good father, a bad father, absentee father, present father, whatever.
Sure.
There's something very psychological ingrained in the male psyche about fathers and sons. You having two young girls, Christina Nigra in the movie as Kim, she's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
She's as an actress at that age.
Yep.
I mean, just so good. I mean, it just gets the lines, does the facial expressions, can do some of the running about and the action and stuff.
Yep.
She's got the walkie-talkie and the
Lady
whole
Ace.
Oh, it's the best. But yeah, it's funny. So the whole movie centers around this Atari game, Cloak and Dagger, which actually was in development as Agent X before the movie came out. And it's funny because there's a nod in the movie to the previous name of the game. Before the game was retooled as Cloak and Dagger for the film, and that is when Dabney Coleman has the line, "Oh yeah, you remember that mission? That was back when I was known as Agent X." And the reason why that's in the movie is that the game that was being developed by Atari prior to this movie was called Agent X. They retooled it and called it Cloak and Dagger on the off chance that this movie would somehow make people come and ask for it. Unfortunately, it didn't. So it only had a limited arcade release. It did not have as it shows in the movie, it has a console release, but that never happened in reality. But boy, wasn't it good to be back in the William Forsythe's game shop and seeing all those old cartridges and stuff, man.
Isn't he great in it too?
He's amazing.
An unrecognizable Morris. William Forsythe. I loved it. Actually, he was one of the first celebrities I ever met at a convention, and I brought that movie up to him. I was like, I didn't even know that was you, and he was like, oh my gosh. He was like, yeah, my mom couldn't wait for me to shave all that hair off my face and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, no, he's fantastic as Morris, their older
like the
friend
older,
who runs
wiser,
the video game store.
Yeah, he's like the older video game store guy who's kind of befriended these two kids at a time when that wasn't creepy, at a time when that was nice that an older person decided to look after a couple of kids who maybe had either busy parents or absentee parents. Like that was a nice thing back then. Obviously, if you saw a kind of weirdly bespectacled cardigan wearing, shaggy haired, ratty bearded William Forsythe looking after your children, now you would not be happy at all.
It's true.
But back then he was, and it's great because the movie starts and they're playing sort of a Dungeons and Dragons style version of Cloak and Dagger where, and actually the opening scene, if we start going through the movie, then the opening scene is sort of a Dabney Coleman realized version of this game that they're playing in the back room of the store. So you see Dabney Coleman doing all this like James Bond stuff, right? And it's so odd because you're like, that's Dabney Coleman. Like he's looked 60 since he was 20. You know what I mean?
True,
like he's just this like mustache, thinning hair, round face guy. But he's great in it. I mean, he's just so good at doing all the bits. And then that's it. That with the transition, which is you're watching this sequence, you're like, oh, I'm loving this. Dabney Coleman being this mad secret agent guy doing all this Bond type stuff. Flies down with a little nod to Bond there. Flies down with a stars and stripes parachute, which is a nod to the Union flag parachute that Bond has in a couple of his films. And then does all this cool gadget stuff. And then to transition to the fact that they're playing a game, 2 giant die, like Dungeons and Dragons. Are they 12-sided die?
I think so, yeah.
Come rolling at him. And then it cuts to them in the back room.
Always
I thought that was fantastic. It was so funny because I kind of put this on going, because it's the one movie that doesn't have a teenager in it. It's a sort of preteen character.
Yeah.
And outside of Dabney Coleman and, like you say, an unrecognizable William Forsythe, there's no like big 80s stars in it. You know, at the time, Henry Thomas off the back of E.T. was the big 80s star. Like, there are no names in it outside of that. And so I was a bit like, oh, I don't know what this is going to be like watching this. Like, I just didn't know what to expect. Because I thought, oh, you know, kids' movies from the 80s, they can go one or two ways. They can be good or bad. Some can be slow. Some can be fast. But not only that, if you don't have the history with a film, sometimes it doesn't work. Like, I've sat down with movies that for 30 years have been near and dear to me in a way that I couldn't possibly explain. And I've shown them to someone as an adult and they've gone, you know, it's okay. And you're like, what do you mean it's okay? It's the best thing ever. You know?
That's happened to me before, too.
So I was a bit nervous, but this opening scene won me over. I'm like, oh, if Coleman's going to be this goofy throughout the movie, that's fantastic. And he is, because if you take his character of Jack Flack, which is funny because of Jack Black, but Jack Flack, if you take his character out of the movie, you take his the fantasy element of the invisible friend, it would be a very serious, dark movie. He crops up to kind of take the edge off Rice and the other guys chasing. Is it Rice and Alvarez? Is that who's chasing? I
think so, yeah.
Henry Thomas. Because if it was just Henry Thomas being chased around and his girlfriend, not girlfriend, but girlfriend being kidnapped and whatever, it would be a very kind of like, oh, wow, this is kind of a tough movie. Yep. Dead bodies in the trunks of cars and stuff. But because Coleman shows up and does his little like all-American spy shtick, it kind of helps.
Yeah. Well, because it's still just a game to him.
Yes.
And for Davey, that is what it is for him for most of the movie. I don't think it really fully hits him that he's in a lot of danger until maybe about halfway through the flick. Yeah. But for Jack, it's just a game, and obviously, I mean, he's not real anyway, so he can't be affected, or so we think.
Right.
He shows up every once in a while to kind of cut the tension and kind of lead Davey down the right path, getting him to steal a copy of the video game to try to pass it off as
he's not a good influence on Davey.
No, not at all. But he's a great spy, and he gives him great spy advice. Call it commandeering necessary mission equipment. Spies are our friends are a luxury a spy can't afford. Stuff like that. Those are great lines. I love that.
Great lines. Little bon mots about spy work that you need from the Dabneys. No, I love all that stuff. I also love that the movie works. It works on the level it presents itself on. So it works. Sure. It works that it's just a kid's adventure that at a certain point gets dangerous, and the kid at a crossroads in his life has to kind of figure out where he goes from here. So it kind of works like that. It worked on me like. Especially after What Happens to Morris, and we'll just leave it there, but especially What Happens to Morris, the second half of the movie, I was saying to Kim, at the end of the movie, they're going to cut back to the back of the store. This is just going to be the three of them playing a game. That's what it is. Because I didn't want what happened to him to have happened to him. I was so invested at that point. I was like, all of this has to be fake. Like, all of this has to be a game that's in his head, and so on. So it works on that level. Like, you could watch the whole movie being like, oh, this is just a kid's rich fantasy life. And then it works on this like I say, on this coming of age level of at a certain point you have to put away your imaginary friends, but should never put away your imagination. But you should put away your imaginary friends. You should engage with reality, and you have to. And there are things. I mean, Stand By Me deals with this, which is this. And I certainly had stuff when I was a kid and so on. Mm-hmm. Kids get involved in adult situations, whether it's your parents arguing, whether it's a kid down at the 7-Eleven, older kid down at the 7-Eleven being violent or bringing out a knife or something, or whether it's whether it's a car accident or whatever. Kids get involved with the adult existence, and with the best will in the world, parents try and keep them to be kids. But there's always those moments in kids' life where there's true danger. The world is a dangerous place, and they don't have that equipment to deal with it all the time. Although thankfully we're very resilient as kids, so we keep going and we kind of bounce back. But the movie deals with that, which I absolutely love. It deals with the idea of fake heroes versus real heroes, and my favorite line in the whole movie is Dabney Coleman as the dad saying, real heroes put dinner on the table, or real heroes do the laundry, or real heroes do whatever. He has like a list of like 2 or 3 things.
That's a really good
that he's
part.
like, that's a real hero. And you suddenly go, it kind of is. There's enough people in the world that won't make a meal for someone else, or will fuck over their fellow man for next line at the cafeteria or whatever. That the real hero is the one that's like, well, you had 3 square meals today. You got a bath today. You did your homework today. Like that's a good day. Like you got out of today, and we helped you with it. And so I love that aspect of the movie. It just worked for me, man. The kids acting is fantastic. Henry Thomas and Christina Nigra are great. Dabney Coleman in the dual roles is fantastic. And William Forsythe as Morris. And then Michael Murphy as Rice. I mean, truly.
Yeah, he was creepy.
An evil, creepy guy.
Yeah. And I'm looking at some of the other. So I don't know who these actors are, but John McIntyre and Jeanette Nolan as the old couple. Oh my God, I used to get so freaked out when she took her glove off and showed that she only had 3 fingers or whatever. Oh, it used to creep me out so much.
Yeah, that's like a really lingering shot of that, and it's obviously it's real. They got someone who only had 3 fingers left on their hand. Yep. But if you saw that as a kid, it's like, it's like when you see someone as a kid who has a stunted arm, my grandfather was missing a finger on his left hand and things like that. You just, the fascination with it, you're just like,
you don't see it every day. So.
Yeah, right. So kids can't help but look.
I loved. I'm not super familiar with this actor, but Robert Doquay as Lieutenant Fleming. He's been in other things too. I've seen him in other things, but it's a bit part, but I really like him.
It could be Robert Doquay, actually. I don't know how it's pronounced.
It must be Robert Doquay, or something. Whatever.
But
I'm famous for mispronouncing names.
That whole airport sequence at the end. That's Wow, I mean that's fantastic. That's some Airport 77 executive decision shit. That is at the end.
Yep. And the fact that Davy is still trying to save the day.
Yeah.
At that point, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I like.
They go through security, and he's like, "Mom, Dad, don't leave me." Trying to, just kind of fuck things up so they can't leave, Well,
he starts to think a little bit like a spy. Like he starts to take on some of those messages that that Jack Flack has been giving him.
Yep.
And there's just really like subtle decisions, like the explosion of the plane at the end, the fact that initially you see the shadow of Jack Flack and you think, is he just bringing back, he's just gone through this traumatic event. He's going to bring back his imaginary friend to kind of deal with this. Yeah. And this is this deep, dark ending to this movie where Henry Thomas's character is going to be psychologically scarred for the rest of his life. Like you think that's how it's going to end.
Yep.
And then when it cuts back, the silhouette changes and it's his papa, you know?
Oh yeah. It's so good how it changes every, you know, the closer he gets, the more the shadow, the silhouette changes to look more like, you know, his dad's God, yeah. I love the ending is so good.
That's a real intelligent decision by a director or by a writer. I don't know whether that was in the script or not, because you don't see that in movies very often, where they're still playing the metaphor or the underlying meaning, the heart of the movie, right to the last bit. Normally, when a movie does a big finale like that, especially when it's a kid's movie, they just go, well, it's the finale, so the plane explodes, the dad's okay, and boom, off you go out into the street kind of thing. You know, they use this one last opportunity to kind of go, oh man, is this kid just going to sink right back into, like, this kid is alone now and he's just going to sink right back into having this destructive imaginary friend, like not even necessarily a constructive imaginary friend, a destructive imaginary friend. You know, Morris is gone, and the Christina Negra, Kim Gardner's mom, is never going to let her play with him again. You know, so you really feel for him, and then the shadow flips, and you're like, oh man, that's just so intelligent. It's so well done. It's so thoughtful. It's great. It's good storytelling, Scott, is what it is. It's just really good storytelling.
It's just the movie's just a good. I can't say much else about it. It's just a really, really well done, good movie.
So someone sent me an article on Twitter where they said, there's a whole article out there about this, that Cloak and Dagger is a precursor to Fight Club. Because in Fight Club, Ed Norton's character, who is never named, he's only named as the narrator, is always using the expression, I am Jack's something, right? So you've got Jack Flack, right? Jack Flack, his imaginary friend from childhood, is always pushing him to do more and more daring things, which the character in Fight Club is doing also.
Yep.
And it's the alternate reality theory. So imagine that instead of the shadow turning from Jack Flack to Papa in the last sequence of Cloak and Dagger, it stays Jack Flack. And actually, the Papa that embraces him at the end of the movie is in fact his imaginary friend. And the kid does become divergent, and the rest of his life he grows up to be Ed Norton's character in Fight Club, constantly having this imaginary friend who is pushing him to greater and greater, more self-destructive lengths. And there's much more in the article.
That's crazy.
It's on my Twitter feed. And
is it from Cracked?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah. The first half of Fight Club was in a movie you never saw, is what the title of the article is.
Yes, and it goes deep into it. I won't read the whole thing, but it goes deep into it. The key points I've mentioned here, and I love stuff like that, man. I love when you start putting stuff together about different movies and where they sit and stuff. It's like I was watching Hell Comes to Frogtown this weekend as part of my movie marathon, and I hadn't seen it in a while. I mean, I'd seen that movie a few times, but I hadn't seen it in a while. And I'm watching the third act when they're all in the car, like he's got all the women from the harem, and they're in the car and they're driving through the desert, and Rowdy Piper's there, but really it's all about the female agent is the one driving the car, and she's really leading the pack. Like, Rowdy's there, but she's sort of the dominant. And I'm like, this is like Mad Max Fury Road. Like, seriously, like Furiosa and Mad Max, and then you've got the women in the back of the pregnant women from the harem and this whole bit, and they're trying to fight this guy who looks like a big toad, and I'm like, wait, this is like Mad Max Fury Road. It would be insane if Hell Comes to Frogtown inspired Mad Max Fury Road. But sure enough, there is an article out there, a very, very, very eloquent, well-written female journalist wrote an article for Births, Movies, Death website, which is Hell Comes to Frogtown and Mad Max Fury Road, the feminist implications, and how the ending of Frogtown is one version, which essentially is that no matter what he's done, Piper is back in the same position in a matriarchal society, having to fulfill nothing more than his duty. He's not been the hero on the hill. He's not saved the thing. He's not whatever. He's just gone right back to being this specimen, biological specimen. And how Mad Max took that, Fury Road takes that idea, and in fact has Max being a selfless protagonist at the end who kind of hands the world back to Furiosa and then walks away, allowing their society to flourish. And it's just a really, really interesting article, but she makes all the comparisons between Hell Comes to Frogtown and Mad Max Fury Road. So all those people who were writing, when Mad Max Fury Road came out, were writing these huge feminist scribes about this movie, and the genius of this and the genius of that, they're really talking about Hell Comes to Frogtown, because I'm telling you, every single idea in Hell Comes to Frogtown ends up being in Mad Max Fury Road. It doesn't take away from Mad Max Fury Road. If anything, I'm like, George Miller's cooler for using that as inspiration. But I love that. So the Cloak and Dagger Fight Club thing happened to me this weekend, and the Hell Comes to Frogtown Mad Max Fury Road thing happened to me this weekend. I'm like, oh, please just let that keep happening. I just want I want this world of movies just to kind of be integrated with everything we do. It's just fantastic.
Oh gosh.
Well, I can heartily recommend Cloak and Dagger. I thought it was fantastic. Great if you're a kid. I think even better if you're an adult, because it does speak to the kid in you. I think there's a great female character. I mean, it's definitely a male-centric movie, but there is a great female character in it that I have to give major props to. So I hope the women who are listening, who have maybe kids or daughters or whatever, I hope they show the movie to them as well, because it's definitely good for both, I think. And I'm so glad you introduced me to it, man. It's just
I'm glad that you liked it. I'm glad that you liked it.
I did. I liked it. It got a strong rating from me, and excellent. This is one I feel like every kind of wintertime I'll put on again, just to kind of feel cozy, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely
actually it's kind of funny that we're doing this at this time of year, because I always love watching Gotcha and Cloak and Dagger and If Looks Could Kill around this time of year. And I think it's because TNT, TBS, whatever, would always do the Bond-a-thons in the winter and stuff Christmas, like that. And so I would always get into the spy movie mood. So
same with us. We always played Bond. Always played between Christmas and New Year. That was the Bond era. Yep. And it's funny because we as movie fans, we have Halloween, then we go right into Christmas movies, and there's a swathe of great kid-centric and teen-centric Christmas movies that I love and we'll always watch. And then after Christmas, obviously you can go back to watch whatever you want, but after Christmas, I'm always like, if you want to extend that Christmas feeling of sort of watching movies from your childhood, but you don't want to watch Christmas-specific movies anymore, something like a Cloak and Dagger, great way to keep that feeling going, that cozy, warm Christmas feeling going, without it being a Christmas movie. Yep. That's how I feel.
I agree.
Just adventure movies in general. I said, I just watched Biggles Adventures in Time the other night, and it's mad, but it's just a good adventure movie. I just like adventure movies. And it's funny, I was putting together a list for movies I want to watch and movies I want to cover on the diner. And I was like, I haven't seen those like Smokey and the Bandit and Cannibal Run and Gumball Rally and those kind of movies in a long time. Like, those are good, like, winter movies. Do you know what I mean? Like, just good romps. Just a good, good mad people doing mad stuff in cars and stuff like that. I don't know. I think we're onto something here, Scott. I think I agree. I think hopefully we've given the listeners a new movie watching genre that they can do in January and February.
I hope so.
Before the rom-coms kick in on Valentine's Day, of course. That's when the rom-coms come in. The other thing I wanted to mention about Cloak and Dagger, and then we'll move on to the next movie, dude. Directed by Richard Franklin, who is who would get lumped into, in my head, the Ozploitation directors of the 70s because of 3 movies. Phantasm, with an F, which was sort of a naughty, nudie, cutie movie out of Australia back in 1976. But then he goes on to make Patrick, which is a hugely influential psychological thriller about a guy who is in a coma who may or may not be coming out of that coma and killing people. Then he makes Road Games, which is about it's sort of Rear Window, but on the road, literally. So it has Stacey Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis driving across the outback in a truck, having maybe witnessed a murder. Have they or have they not witnessed a murder? Who knows? Mm-hmm. And then he makes his American debut with Psycho 2. So he gets... Having made Road Games, which is hugely influenced by Hitchcock, he is handed the reins of the Psycho franchise and given the sequel to make based on his prowess as a Hitchcockian-style filmmaker. And then he makes Cloak and Dagger. So it's... what a great start to a career if you're Richard Franklin. I can't say it continues after that. He tends to slip into TV movie hell after that, as a lot of directors who came out of the 70s don't quite claw their way through the 80s. But nonetheless, I would put Cloak and Dagger up on top of the list of the Richard Franklin movies. I own Patrick, I own Road Games, and I own Psycho 2. So now I gotta purchase myself some Cloak and Dagger and complete my Franklin quadrology. And then the other thing I want to say is that it's written by Tom Holland, or at least he did the screen story. Tom Holland, who is probably most famous in our circles for Fright Night and Child's Play. Along with
Class
also...
of 1984.
Yes. Class of 1984. He writes Thinner. He shows up, interestingly enough, in Psycho 2 in an acting role. So he clearly knew Richard Franklin before this. The parallels, talking about parallels between movies, the parallels between this and Fright Night... in terms of the idea of a teenager or a young adult not being believed that a fantasy element is going on in his life when it really is going on in his life. In the case of Friday Night, the Dracula or the vampire is similar. It's similar waters tread, and the kids befriend an older man who is their kind of confidant in Roddy McDowall, and. So I just thought there was some good parallels there. So I just wanted to bring that up. But so that's it for Cloak and Dagger. We move to thumbs up. Oh, all the thumbs up. All of the thumbs up for Cloak and Dagger. What a movie. Big fan. Let's move over now to If Looks Could Kill, also known as the better title Teen Agent.
I'll be goddamned if I'm going to send you to France for flunking out of high school. His dad is so good. His dad is so funny.
Yeah, and
I was too busy doing jack shit instead of going to my French class. I love it.
And this movie is written by Fred Decker, who our generation will know as the guy behind Monster Squad and Night of the Creeps. Also The Predator. But that was much later on.
I didn't see that.
But yes, I mean, having written, as I said, Night of the Creeps, House 2, the second story, House and House 2, rather. The Monster Squad. He goes on to write If Looks Could Kill, followed by the Denzel Washington movie Ricochet. But If Looks Could Kill, man, well, give us the lowdown on this one, Toombs. What's happening here, my friend?
Oh, gosh. So this particular movie probably embodies the teenager, I want to be a spy, fantasy.
Yeah.
Maybe better than most of them.
Right. You haven't seen Never Too Young to Die?
No, I haven't seen that one yet. But we're getting there. Richard Grieco, fresh off of his stint on 21 Jump Street. This was the first thing that he did after that. And he didn't do much after it. But we won't get
Mobsters. I mean, he did Mobsters
was the other Slater. Was like the only other big thing that he did after this.
Yes.
But Richard Grieco stars as Michael Corbin, who is just a slacker, ne'er-do-well, teenage. I mean, almost kind of like a Van Wilder type character who just is like a total goof and doesn't really care about anything. And he gets mistaken for a CIA agent that has the same name as him.
But what's with the weird, like, Anglo-Saxon Northern European name of Corbin? In fact, it even has like Irish undertones. He's clearly Italian. His dad's clearly Italian. Like, what?
That I don't know.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, my name's Corbin, actually.
Michael Corbin.
You're like,
So
you're not
good.
a Corbin, dude. Maybe Corbinetti, but not a Corbin.
But he gets mixed up in the spy game and ends up having to save the world, man, as you do when you're a teenage ne'er-do-well, as I like to say. I love this movie. It's ridiculous, but I love it.
I love it too. It's sort of Kid Fletch goes to France. Is sort of how it's written and how it's pitched. Now, if people haven't seen it and they're thinking of going to see it, I would suggest they go see it. I would warn you right now, Richard Grieco is no Fletch. He is the thing that I would have to say with this movie. This movie succeeds despite him. That's what I would say about this film. What I noticed watching it this time, and I was watching it maybe with a slightly more critical eye because we were going to talk about it on the show, is that you're right. It starts off, it's high school graduation. He doesn't graduate. He doesn't have his French points credits. Or whatever he needs. And the only way out of it is that he can go to France with his French class and get the points back, credits back, which just seems ludicrous, but okay. And he gets confused with another Richard Corbin, who is a deep cover CIA American agent that nobody knows what he looks like. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows where he's been. I mean, he's still an agent, though, right? Like they still had to send him out into the field. They didn't just foster him from a fetus and was like, well, we don't need to know what you look like. Like, there's a picture of him somewhere in the CIA files, surely. But anyway,
nobody knows what he looks like. Nobody knows how old he is.
Yeah, right. Nobody knows anything about him. So he happens to have the same name as Corbin, and hilarious case of mistaken identities, and he gets embroiled while in Europe in this mad plot where Europe, which has, and it's quite interesting because in a post-Brexit world, the whole plot hinges on the fact that obviously in the 70s, Europe joined. They economically joined and became the European community. And but it was always sort of always in name. I mean, there were certain perks to it and whatever, but we didn't get a central currency, which is also really interesting. We didn't get a central currency, the euro, until many years later. In fact, even after this movie came out, I believe. But the interesting thing is, this movie comes out and it's about sort of a well-respected yet clearly very evil British politician / aristocracy kind of guy, very high up in the old boys network of British politics, I'm sure, who has decided to speak to all the heads of Europe and say, give us all your gold. We're going to put it into like the European equivalent of Fort Knox. When actually what he's doing is melting it down, making his own currency and planning to take over the entirety of Europe. The irony being, as I say, is that we literally got the euro just a few years after this. So it's sort of fascinating the period in history this comes out, and the fact that it's talking about a European single currency and a united Europe and a strong Europe and a blah 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 blah. Especially now, as that sadly my country decided to make the huge mistake of voting themselves out of Europe, which is just the most idiotic thing ever in the history of the planet, outside of Trump being president. But anyway, so there you go. There you go. I had to get it in. There you go. Just there. But anyway, so that's what's going on. That's the background of this, backdrop of this. But back to my comment about Richard Grieco, sort of the movie existing or succeeding despite him, because it has all of these familiar tropes. So you get the guy showing up to graduation with his rock music playing in his headphones and his layabout dude next to him kind of making fun of the graduation or whatever, right? It's a scene we've seen in other high school movies or college movies or whatever, with the goofballs kind of making fun of the pomp and circumstance of the scenario. Then you have him going off on the school trip with the woman his friend likes, who he's going to try and hook up with, and the crazy teacher who's like, I'm going to bust your ass and you're going to do French and the whole bit. And so you've seen that before. And then you get the fish out of water, embroiled in an espionage plot, sort of action, Bond parody kind of stuff. And you've seen that before. And the first part of the movie, Grieco is kind of required to be both the kind of fratty layabout high school kid, but then also when he kind of gets mistaken for Michael Corbin and gets a first class ticket on the plane and has that whole sequence, he's the reason why I call it like a Fletch. He's sort of required to be cocky but not arrogant, yet because it's Grieco he doesn't quite pull that off. Like the thing with Chevy Chase is in Fletch is if you met Fletch in real life, you'd be like, oh, for fuck, stop with the one-liners, dude, you annoying. You know what I mean? You would just be like talk seriously about something for a minute, would you? But in the movies, we love to watch it because we love watching Chevy Chase just not give a fuck about anyone and just drop the one-liners. Grieco can't quite do it. He just doesn't have he comes across too much as a punchable twat. Like you don't like Grieco in the way that you like Chevy Chase. You know what I mean? He comes across as too full of himself. You're just like, well, you've got there's no, you're a loser. To anyone else, you're a loser, but you're going to come off as this guy with, your Letterman jacket and your jeans and your...
That's a good point, actually. I never thought of it like that, but you're right. To anybody else, he is pretty much like kind of a loser, he's a good looking guy, but other than that, he doesn't really have much else going for him. So
right. And so, and sadly, like what I noticed throughout the movie, and this is the last sort of criticism I'll do, because the rest of the movie I love, and I'm not knocking the movie. As I said,
no.
The movie fully succeeds despite Grieco.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. He is surrounded, thankfully, with enough comedic and fascinating character actor performances that it saves the movie. But what I noticed in this movie is when he's required to do scared, he can do scared okay. When he's required to do cocky, he can do cocky okay. When he's required to, be a love interest, he can do love interest okay. He can't do any of them well, but and he doesn't have a consistent character, but if a scene calls for him to do something, he'll do it to a point where you're like, okay, that gets me to the next scene. But it's not like, when you see a truly gifted comedic performer, a Bill Murray, a Chevy Chase, going from scene to scene, holding together what essentially is a ludicrous movie, Stripes or Ghostbusters or Fletch or, National Lampoon or whatever.
Yeah.
You can throw all the silliness at them because they're this strong comedic backbone to the movie that you kind of just follow. This movie, if I could do anything with this movie, it would be to like go back in time and just recast Grieco. I would do like I'm trying to think of the people at the time.
Yeah.
Even an Anthony Michael Hall would have been like very good at doing this kind of humor. Cusack probably could have carried it off. You know what I mean? Maybe he's a bit old by the time 91 comes around, but there are other people who could have done. Johnny Depp. I mean, look at 21 Jump Street. Johnny Depp probably could have done this much better than Grieco. So there are actors out there at this time that could have done this movie. So, but I'm sure there was someone. 21 Jump Street was a big. I'm
sure that's what got him the gig.
Network studio production, and I'm sure that network just went, "Hey, let's see if we can make him a movie star." But that's all I would say. Anyway, carry on. Dude, you talking about it?
Well, I was going to say, I wonder if they had anybody else in mind. We can look that up later. And I don't know if that information will be on there or not. But yeah, I love this flick. Like I said, it embodies everything about the teenage spy fantasy. I saw this movie,
dude. I'm not even kidding. The second trivia on IMDb, original screenwriter Fred Decker conceived the story with Anthony Michael Hall in mind. Okay,
now we're talking.
Come on
Look
now.
At you.
Did I get it or did I nail it?
Look at you go.
Anyway, dude, carry on.
I think I probably saw this movie for the first time on like HBO or something like that, and I fell in love with it because, again, it was that time period when I was really, really into spy movies, spy books, spy stories, spy everything. I love this movie so much that I remember asking my mom to get me a pack of white T-shirts for Christmas so that I could wear white T-shirts under my coat. You know what I mean? Like he is in the poster.
Yes.
I love this movie.
She wouldn't get you the red Corvette then, or whatever he's driving.
No red Corvette.
Is it a Corvette he's driving?
I'm not sure what kind of car
it kind of feels like a Corvette. But anyway,
it's pretty classic. But I mean, when you say my car, do you mean your car, or do you mean your car as in I can get in this thing and drive it away right now? Yeah. There's just so many. For me, there's so many quotable lines in the movie.
Here's a question. When does he get back the shoes that can climb walls? Because they leave it on the wall of the shelter where they're testing out all the stuff. And he gets in the car and drives away. He doesn't take anything with him. He doesn't take his backpack with him. He doesn't take anything with him.
Oh, that's a good
point. He has all the gadgets with him later on in the movie.
Well, I know like the tuxedo and the scuba suit and all that stuff is in the back. Yeah, it's in the trunk. But yeah, that's a good point. All right. Well,
but he doesn't take the gum. He doesn't take
have to complain about that.
The shoes.
There's so many good quotable lines for him too, because he does play such a I don't even know just such a cocky a-hole. Like when the spies call him at the airport and he goes and he gets the phone and he says, who's that, Richardson? No, Haywood, nice accent, mate. He's like such a doofus.
Oh yeah, he's such a dick.
Yeah, if you guys are on speakerphone, tell your sister she has nice, stuff like that. It's such funny lines and stuff. Get this, guys, I'm flying to Paris first class the whole way. Yeah, it's just so many.
So it reminds me of the differences or the and this is a very broad stroke example, but the difference between British humor and American humor is in Britain, if this was made a British version of this, he would fail the whole way. He would just be a complete idiot, a nerd, awkward, difficult, frustrated. He would just be endlessly irritated by everything that was going on.
Yeah.
The American humor is, and this comes from sitcoms predominantly, is the guy who walks into the party and has all of the cool lines. Yeah. Like American humor, and this isn't the case for everything. It's not the case for stuff like Seinfeld. It's not the case for Golden Girls. It's not the case for some things. Curb Your Enthusiasm, whatever. Your humor definitely has that neuroses and sarcasm and stuff that is in common with the UK. But a lot of your, hello, darling, I'm home kind of sitcoms are all about the dude who just walks into the thing, owns the situation, whatever situation he's in, has always got a ready quip, is the coolest guy in the party or whatever. In England, the look at all the protagonists, whether it's the protagonist of Blackadder or The Office or The Young Ones or Fawlty Towers or, name a British sitcom and every single lead character is a fool, an idiot. We're laughing at him. We're not laughing with him. So it reminded me the first half of this movie. I'm like, oh yeah, it reminds me of those 80s comedies where literally the joke is, hey, I got my shit together, man. Like that's the whole
joke. We haven't yet mentioned the cameo of one Roger Daltrey as the seasoned veteran agent Blade, which is such a terrible name for.
Is
a
it
spy.
Blade or Blaze? I thought it
Blade.
was Blade. Okay,
yeah, it's Blade.
All right.
Such an awful name for a spy, but I mean, it's cool that you got Roger Daltrey from The Who to be in your movie, I guess.
It is. And you know that Gabrielle Anwar's character name, Mariska, is literally after Mariska Hargitay, who was Fred Decker's college friend. They went to college together.
That's really cool.
So literally her name is Mariska, which is a very unusual name anyway, is named after the only other Mariska I can think of, Mariska Hargitay, from SVU, Special Victims Unit.
And she's great too, Gabrielle Anwar. She's fantastic.
Not Gabriel. I mean, listen, she can be Gabriel if she wants. It's a new world. But
But yeah, she's great in the movie as the daughter of the deceased top agent. If he was the top agent, why is he dead?
Yeah. Well, that's my only other criticism would probably be that she's Burn Notice, right? She's amazing in Burn Notice. I always, whenever anyone says I'm going to Florida, I always go Miami because of the beginning of Burn Notice. During the title sequence, much like the A-Team, they always have that recap, and the clip they use is because the first 3 episodes of Burn Notice, she has an Irish accent, and then after that, the director was like, "Drop the accent. Everyone's getting like you can't do it. Don't worry about it." But in the first series, when he's like, "Where am I?" she goes, "Miami," and it's meant to be an Irish accent. So when anyone ever says like, "You're going to Florida," off the back of Gabrielle Anwar's Irish accent at the beginning of Burn Notice. Which is a super geeky reference that nobody's getting apart from like 5 people. I always go, Miami. But Gabrielle was great in it. Roger Daltrey is like a total weird cameo. But he was doing a bunch of movies at this point. Like he was cropping up and stuff.
Yep.
And trying his hand at the old acting game. So fair play to the Dalts for showing up.
Of course.
But then my big shout out has to go to Roger Rees, who is acting in a much better movie than this film is. Roger Rees thinks he's like, this is my chance to literally play a Bond villain, and he is playing it dead straight and to the cheap seats with bells on. He is phenomenal in this film. I mean, he is just fantastic. Obviously we know him from Robin Hood Men in Tights as the sheriff of Rottingham. He recently showed up in the competing Sherlock Holmes TV series of Elementary as Alistair Moore, who was a fatherly figure to the Sherlock Holmes character in that series. Elementary, that I controversially think is a better Sherlock Holmes series than Sherlock.
Oh, hot take.
Because Sherlock is an awful, awful TV series. Don't tell anyone I said that.
I haven't watched either of them.
It's so bad. It's so bad. How about we have Sherlock Holmes have a blog and cell phones and use Google? I don't know. How about we don't do that because that's awful and it makes me want to punch Sherlock Holmes in the face? Anyway, let's not go there. But Roger Rees, he is fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you explained it perfectly. He's acting in a much better movie than what he's actually in.
He elevates this film way beyond its leanings. And
I'm going to nail your ass to the wall. I love that whole dinner scene.
Yes.
is so good.
Except that
I
it
want my
starts with him
friends
saying,
and I want my French teacher and I want him now.
Except that it starts with him saying, "You are much more intelligent than I gave you credit for," and then ends with him being like, "You're such a fool." And I'm like, wait, is he intelligent or a fool? Like, I can't quite decide.
Watch it. This is a Babylonian suit.
Yeah, right.
so dumb. So dumb.
He's
love
dumb.
it. I just love it.
He's such a loser.
Yeah.
But he's like, we're literally following a movie where the lead guy is this loser who for some reason swans about like he's just got this thing nailed. Can't even pass high school French.
No.
And is just swanning about like, I have got this thing licked.
Cock of the walk.
Cock of the walk. Not only that, but by the third act, he's just gunning people down.
Oh, Rambo
He's
style.
committing murder left, right, and center. There's not even. What's funny is there's some attempt halfway in the movie with and I'm thinking of the nerve gas armpit sprayer from the Tuxedo. There's some where it sprays out gas and knockout gas from the armpits of the Tuxedo. There's some attempt to be like, well, we'll make all his gadgets sort of these non-lethal gadgets so he can kind of get through this spy thing without having to kill anyone. Yeah. Until the end of the movie where they're just like, no, give him a machine gun. He's spraying bullets everywhere. He's killing 50 people. He's throwing people into molten gold. It's just, and it's fine. You go with it. I mean, it's a 90s, late 80s, early 90s action movie with Richard Grieco in it. We're not looking for realism, but
you reminded me of the casino scene that I had completely forgot about up till now when they're what do they play? Are they playing Baccarat?
They're playing Baccarat, but he thinks they're playing 21.
Yeah. Blackjack, we win or what? You jackass. It's so good. I just can't help it. Oh, my God.
But that's also another scene where, in reality, some mouthy American teenager sits down. Everyone just says...
Of course.
Everyone just drags him out of the casino. In this movie, Roger Rees, playing the bad guy, for some reason or other, is just like, no, let him stay. In fact, raise the stakes. In fact, make it even more ridiculous.
Oh, I can't see a thing without my glasses.
Yeah, so he puts on these X-ray glasses, and then there's all this like weird, I'm looking at the lady naked kind of sequence. And then it becomes
a little transphobia in there too, for good measure for a early 90s movie.
Yeah, just a weird transphobic joke that doesn't make any sense.
No,
like if you had set it up earlier in the movie that he had seen a woman walking around the casino that he was maybe like super attracted to or something or whatever, and then she turned out to be a guy, it's not the best joke, but but it is what it is. At least it's a setup. In this, there's no even setup. He just puts the X-ray specs on, looks at the hot naked chick, then looks at some other woman who is actually a man. That's the joke. I mean, that's the whole the whole joke is just he's a man and he goes, ugh. It's still a lot better than Ace Ventura, which when I rewatched that for a podcast a couple of years back, I was like, this is not funny at all. But this one is at least whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
Then there's this whole like talk me through this, dude. So he goes up to his hotel room, right?
Therapy.
He goes to his hotel room, right? There is the attractive woman. Roger Rees sends his girlfriend, as it were, Areola, which is sort of an Austin Powers joke, which is she's named after the skin around your nipple.
Her last name is Canasta.
Areola
Canasta,
which is a game, which is odd. I don't even understand. But anyway, that's like a thing you write down where you think it's a joke, but it doesn't really actually mean anything. You know, it's not like a lot of vagina. At least that's a joke.
Yes.
But anyway, areola canasta is just two words put together. One which is slightly naughty because it's the skin around your nipple. Anyway, she's in his hotel room, right?
Yep.
And she's been sent by Roger Rees to like kill him with a scorpion. Even though she could shoot him, stab him, set fire to him, whatever. But no, she's going to kill him with a scorpion.
Yeah.
Right?
Much more exotic.
But then in the middle, two things happen. Firstly, he goes into the bathroom, and this is such an exclusive casino hotel that they have pre-provided condoms.
Oh, hell yeah.
In the bathroom. But not only that, they are combat condoms
Combat condoms.
Which come in some sort of complicated, which by the way,
like a tuna can.
Yeah, they come in like a tuna can with one of those wind-off keys, more like a sardine can, with like one of those wind-off keys that keep breaking off.
Yep.
This would make sense if he got it out of his backpack and it was something that was given to him by the spy people, combat condoms or whatever. Maybe they, I don't know, excrete a juice or whatever that kills whatever.
Combat.
But no, this is a casino that in the bathroom cabinet, in the way that you might have miniatures of shampoo and conditioner, provide combat condoms that the big joke is he can't get it open. And while he can't get them open because the keys keep breaking off, she gets the scorpion down the back and is dancing around the hotel room with the scorpion down her back. And accidentally knocks on the hi-fi.
Yeah.
And he's becoming aroused by her sexual dancing.
Well, he thinks she's hot to trot for him. So
But
little does he know, she's got a scorpion in her dress.
And then Roger Reed's other henchman, the guy with the metal claw, just blows the hotel room up. I'm like, wait, I'm so blows her up as well. I'm so confused by everything that's happening here. I'm confused by there being combat condoms. I'm confused by her being sent and then another henchman gets sent. I'm confused that the whole thing ends up just being blown up. It's I understand, like, again, I see what the writer and the director are going for. Like, I understand it. Here's this comedic sequence. He's trying to get a condom out of a packet. He can't do it because he's, again, he's a massive loser and an idiot, right? Even though he's playing it like he's cock of the walk. And she's doing the funny dancing. There's your setup. That's great. But the way they get out of that setup is to have the guy with the claw for a hand just blow up the hotel room. They can't come up with like a neater way to get out of it. It's just sort of, I don't know. It's just one of those. It's just one of those things.
I have to. So it just occurred to me that maybe Steranko sent Areola, and I don't know.
I don't know if just say it again.
Areola.
Areola. Okay,
my name is Areola.
Yeah.
Maybe Steranko sent her, but did what's the other guy? Zigisveld, the guy with the claw.
Yes.
Was he sent by the little lady Ilsa? Maybe. I mean, I have the kind of the feeling that I get throughout the whole movie is that she's kind of clean up for Steranko. And
right, because there's this whole thing about Steranko says, I abhor violence.
Yeah.
So he has the dwarf lady be his violent henchwoman. Right. But again, it's like, well, hang on, is she the henchwoman? Is Areola the henchwoman? Is Zigsfield the henchman?
Yeah.
Why, like... I mean, I understand, but it's a lot of complexity for a movie like this.
Great scene, though. Great scene.
It's a great scene. It's a fantastic scene. And again, it's one of these,
combat condoms.
We're talking about it like this because you want to bring stuff up and have a laugh with it and kind of point out.
I've seen this movie like 100 times. I bought it on VHS from eBay when I was in college.
Yeah, I mean, I have the VHS, I have the DVD, and if they produced a special edition Blu-ray tomorrow with lots of extras, then I would buy that as well. So no problem with that. But it's you just point out these inconsistencies because why not? Because it's they're there to be pointed out.
Of course,
this movie has its DNA in films like The Pink Panther and the originals with Peter Sellers, and which would then sort of be redone again with Naked Gun and other films where basically the idiot solves the crime or saves the day despite the fact that they're a bumbling idiot. And the only thing that I wish they'd carried that conceit through the whole film. I'm less interested when Grieco's just like, I'm going to pick up a gun and see it through, because that's what his dad keeps telling him to do.
Yeah.
Is to see it through and just starts machine gunning people. I wish it was more that his bumbling led to him foiling the situation. You know what I mean?
I think I get what you mean. Yeah,
because in most movies where like this, where it's a fish out of water, someone gets embroiled in a spy thing or whatever, it's normally their bumbling that somehow saves the day. Like, so there's a circuitous route whereby, you know, in fact, normally in the Pink Panther, there's normally someone else who's doing the real detective work that is just about to finger the real bad guy, and then the Pink Panther, like, or Clouseau sweeps in and is aha, this is the guy, and whatever, and sort of unveils you know, and it has, you know, Scooby-Doo is another one. Like, Shaggy and Scooby are fools, but they always unmask the villain. Like, they always get the bad guy, and it's there's a long history of it. What is it? Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, and it's all that kind of history. It's just that this movie at a certain point decides to just say, well, screw it, let's just have him pick up a machine gun and become Kid Rambo. You know what I mean? For the last
I mean, like full on with like the ripped shirt and, you know, all the tropes of a, you know, like an action hero or whatever at the end of the movie.
Well, what about, so let's talk about Robin Bartlett as Mrs. Grober, the French teacher.
She's so great.
She is so great in the movie, because, again, here's this French teacher who's really just a French teacher, but everyone thinks that's her spy name.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, again, he saves her from the crate that's being lowered into the molten gold.
Yeah.
And gives her a machine gun and goes, you now need to become the French teacher.
Yep.
And she dramatically puts on a Rambo headband and goes out into the night to kill people, just as you do, casually murdering people. And it's funny because she has not been privy to the fact that anyone thinks she is a spy called the French teacher throughout the whole movie. She just thinks she's on this weird-ass tour of France and everything's going wrong. So the fact that she decides to suck it up and start killing people in the final act doesn't make any sense at all, but it's a glorious moment.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, my friend.
And then the other shout-out is to Michael Siberry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Siberry, who is he's the stiff upper lip British agent who is going to give him all his spy gadgets and help him along the way. And he is fantastic. He plays
nasty business.
He plays it perfectly. He's got the proper sort of daring do, Watto chaps, off we go kind of British British thing, foppish kind of ineffectual but kind of fun sort of guy. And Geraldine James as his side piece.
He's got a little thing going with her. Yeah,
the Q to his M.
Yep.
If we're going to use the Bond analogy,
her name is Vendetta.
Vendetta Gallant.
Yep. That's a good one.
So she at least has a name that, you know, both words mean something spy-like, whereas Areola Canasta doesn't mean anything.
No.
But no, listen, I very, very, very affectionately love this movie, but I do have to say it's a whole heap of nostalgia.
Sure.
And it's also the fact that if you plot me down into a world and keep the gears moving fast enough and throw enough stuff at the screen that's exciting and interesting, I'll go with your film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't question the physics in a Fast and Furious movie because you'd be an idiot to question the physics in a Fast and Furious movie because these people might as well be superheroes.
Yeah.
And the same goes for something like this. It's just to knock about fantasy, comedy, action, 90s Richard Grieco romp, and you better get with the program or don't bother. That's how I feel about it.
No, I agree. And you know what's funny to me is I always actually kind of looked at this movie as almost a companion piece to The Living Daylights. Like, if you watch The Living Daylights as a Bond movie, it's a great Bond film. But if you want a counterpart, that's more of like a spoof, I feel like If Looks Could Kill is a really good spoof of The Living Daylights in some respects.
I love that. Another great pair up with this movie, talking about Chevy Chase and Bill Murray earlier, The Man Who Knew Too Little, the Bill Murray movie where he's in London and thinks he's doing thinks he's in a game, thinks he's doing like a murder mystery about town kind of theatrical thing, when actually he's embroiled in a real spy situation. And no one talks about the movie. I've covered the movie with my friend Matt Ringler on the podcast years ago, probably about 8-9 years ago now. I'm a secret fan of the movie. It's got Joanne Whaley-Kilmer in it as the love interest, and Bill Murray, and it's got Peter Gallagher as the unlikely brother to Bill Murray, because the two of them don't look anything alike. And but it's a genuinely wonderful, heartwarming, silly film in the way that this is a genuinely heartwarming, silly film. And I would pair this Teen Agent or If Looks Could Kill up with The Man Who Knew Too Little, the very lesser known Bill Murray comedy that no one talks about, but I love.
Okay.
And I would strongly recommend people go watch that as well. Covered it on the podcast probably about 10 years ago, 9 years ago.
I'll have to put it on my list because I've actually never seen it. So, but I remember when it came out. It came out like, did it come out in like the early 2000s or the late 90s?
Late 90s, early 2000s, I think.
Okay,
It's right before his Wes Anderson period. It was while he was doing like the Garfield movies, and I'm sure he was over in Europe doing like a Garfield 2, and someone just went, hey, we'll hand you a boatload of cash to be in this British comedy about a guy, American tourist lost in London, I'm sure, you know.
Because I feel like I was
in Garfield
at the
2
theater when that came out. So
in Garfield 2, doesn't he go to Europe or something? Isn't 97. It like Garfield in Europe? So I think that's probably what it was. I think he was probably over in Europe, and someone just went, Bill Murray, here's a boatload of cash to make this random movie that's got cameos by Dexter Fletcher from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels in it, and Joanne Whaley-Kilmer, and Peter Gallagher, and someone else is in it as well, who is a now well-established British actress. I think the lady from Four Weddings and a Funeral, Duckface from Four Weddings and a Funeral, and I forget her name now, but the character called Duckface in Four Weddings.
Dogface, wow.
Duckface.
Oh, Duckface. I was going to say Dogface. Holy
in Four
shit.
Weddings and a Funeral, they refer to a character as Duckface, and it's that actress. She plays Peter Gallagher's wife.
I understand.
But yes, I love this movie in the way that I love The Man Who Knew Too Little. Check it out as a double bill. It works. Trust me, it works. So any final points, sir, on If Looks Could Kill? And do a little cliffhanger, tee up part 2. Give us a little tease for part 2.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Final thoughts on If Looks Could Kill. I mean, just for me personally, I love the movie. It was a big one for me when I was a young teenager. We're talking 13, 14 or what have you. I watched it constantly, and I love it. To this day, I love it. I love all the lines in it, and yeah, it's great.
I think based on your analog basement movie poster wall, I think I need to track down that sweet ass painted Teen Agent poster, which is by far the best poster for the movie, and get
pretty good
and get you that. Well, what I love about it is it's got the car shooting the rockets, in between which it's got the little woman with the whip, kind of, and the whip's doing a curly cue up in the air. It's really beautifully painted, and much better than just the photograph of him lying on the hood of the Corvette, which is the If Looks Could Kill cover. But I want to track down that as a big painted poster and get it to sit snugly right next to the last Starfighter behind you. I think it would.
There you go.
It would look great. So as I alluded to at the beginning, so you are a DJ of some note of the Synthwave set.
The waves of synth, yes.
The waves of synth. And throughout the pandemic were entertaining a regular group of folks on a Friday night with your Retrofuturism 101, hosted by Michael Knight on the Twitch waves. And we loved it. We enjoyed it most Friday nights. As I like to say, I have the playlist. I have the T-shirt.
There you go.
I was a frequent collaborator in the chat room.
Big supporter. A big
supporter. I think I tipped you a couple of times.
Yep.
I may have subscribed once.
Man of the people.
And I just was enjoyed it. And I made another bunch of new friends off it. It was fantastic.
I appreciated it.
Every Bandcamp Friday, picking up the albums by some of the people who would be in the chat. Luva's music. Funny enough, I'm not even
He's great. He's a character.
I'm not using my Luva's koozie, but I do have my Luva's koozie. It's in the cupboard. I love doing that, man. It just gave me so much hope and positivity throughout the pandemic, because my whole thing, as you know, is support creativity, support the arts, promote positivity through creativity, and finding that group of musicians and discovering Synthwave beyond movie soundtracks, which is kind of the only touchstone I had for Synthwave, was a joy. So I have to say a big thank you in person to you. So I absolutely loved that.
Pleasure.
But tell everyone, I know you're not doing it frequently right now because of the chitlin that has just been born, but you did just recently do a your first live DJ set.
That's right. Yeah.
As Michael Knight. So tee it up and let everyone know where they can find Retrofuturism 101 merch to support Scott Toomey, my fantastic guest on this podcast.
I think if you go to teespring.com, and I don't know how Teespring works, but I think if you go to teespring.com and do a search for Retrofuturism 101, you'll probably come across the merchandising page for the program.
I will find it and put the link in the podcast description.
Thank you very much.
And as sweet as the tunes are, I have to say the T-shirts are just as sweet.
Designed by my beautiful and amazing life partner. Yeah, they're pretty cool. The show itself will be back. The first show back is going to be on March 4th.
Boom.
So, which is a Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm looking forward to it. And between now and then, I streamed for about an hour and a half earlier today.
Oh, wow.
Just because I was bored and the kids were sleeping. So I decided, I'm going to stream and play some music for a little while. And some people jumped in and joined. It was pretty cool. So
I only ever go to Twitch when you're doing something and I know about it. So I'm not on the Twitches of all of the time. But yes.
From now until March, I might, do some impromptu streams here and there, because I don't work on Wednesdays and Fridays from now until like mid-February. So Wednesday afternoons would probably be the best
follow
bet.
Retrofuturism or Michael Knight on all of the socials. I will put links in the descriptions, and
thank you.
You might get a glimpse of Michael Knight's wonderful synth spinning prior to his grand return on March 4th.
That's right.
But either way, it's a phenomenal evening. So come March 4th, which is not that long away. It's only a month or so away at this point by the time this episode goes out. I would strongly recommend you become a voice in the chat. Join us. We're a wonderful, welcoming, caring group of people. Can only think of a couple of times where Scott had to bring the hammer down and just
rare
fucking sort it out. He has a couple of minions in the chat who will break up any potential squabblings, who do a great job of kicking out people trying to raid. Is that the language, raid?
Raiding is a good thing. Raiding is a good thing. Okay. But you know what? We don't put up with any foul language.
No,
that's not true. We do a little bit. Basically, just don't be a jerk. You know, is really the only rule.
Yeah, which I skirt that line sometimes.
Yeah, well, we all do.
But all in jest.
Time.
Always in jest. Yeah. But I'm normally saying something like, Scott, do this. Scott, do this. And you're just like, oh, for fuck's sake, John, shut up. It's lovely that you're here, but just stop.
Oh, God.
I'm sure you think that. I do it in jest, though. I don't expect it. But if anyone's listening to the podcast who is a frequent purchaser or listener to of miscellaneous plumbing fixtures, the album I produced last year called Splang, an album of 10 splangs, was specifically inspired by Scott's Retrofuturism set and Holly Danger's Live from the Danger Gallery set. I went out of my comfort zone. I went away from the folky singer-songwriter noodlings I normally do, and I went deep into the beats and the synths.
And it was great.
I liked Splang 61 seemed to be a favorite because people said it reminded them of an old like Sega or Nintendo games track. You know, the one you played on the show, the one that's do 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 do, and then it has the little in the background. So people said that reminded them of like the third or fourth Sonic the Hedgehog level. Because Sonic the Hedgehog has that kind of like ethereal synth kind of background music that just kind of goes on in a repeat.
Yeah, that game has great music.
Yeah, so... so thank you for playing that. And
my pleasure.
I urge everyone to check it out when it comes back on March 4th. Scott, as always, this has been the sweetest of pleasures, and I cannot wait to
We got to tee it up. We have to tee up the next episode.
Tee up the next episode, dude. Give us the next week on the After Movie Diner.
There we go. Next week on the After Movie Diner, we're going to have Never Too Young to Die, starring a great John Stamos. And I've never seen it before. So who else is in the movie? Who else?
Stamos, Vanity, and Gene Simon. Those are the listen, when you will never be the same.
I can't wait to watch. I'm going to buy the Blu-ray.
Seriously, you will never be the same.
Shout Select, I think.
After you watch this movie. There is a Shout Select Blu-ray of it.
That's what I'm going to get.
It also has, talking about post-Bond world, George Lazenby, the one-time only Bond, the Antipodean Bond, the Bond from Down Under. He shows up as John Stamos's father in a pre-credit sequence.
Almost plays the Roger Daltrey role, perhaps.
Yeah, whipping in a weird... Because they probably went down the list. They were like, let's not ask Sean Connery. Roger Moore might do it. Let's ask if Roger Moore will do it. And then he probably passed. And then they were like, T-Dolt is currently Bond, so he probably won't do it. So then they went to Lazenby. And Lazenby was like, sure, I'm doing nothing. I'm just hanging out down here in Oz. I haven't made a movie in 10 years. Sure, I'll come do it.
So good.
So he plays... but yeah, it's wonderful. It's kind of part If Looks Could Kill, part Jim Carter, because he is something of a gymnast in the movie.
Oh, God.
Part Action Jackson, just because of the Vanity connection. It's part Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I'm not joking there. There's a whole bunch of cross-dressing in the movie. And then there's even there's a guy in it who plays a henchman who looks like, you know, those Italian post-apocalyptic movies that were made at the end of the 70s, early 80s to kind of rip off the Mad Max craze. And they're always wearing insane shoulder pads and have mohawks and whatever. Imagine that, but drawn by like a child on crack. That's like, there's a character in this movie that's a henchman that looks like he looks like if a horse was a human. I can't even describe it. Like, he's ridiculous. Wow. He is ridiculous. He looks like a WWF wrestler was pumped full of even more steroids, mated with a horse, and then glazed in baby oil. It's insane.
Wow.
There's a guy in this movie.
What a description.
You'll be like, I do not know what I'm watching, but I'm glad I'm watching it.
I can't wait.
You will love it. So we've got that coming. People can look forward to that. And what else?
We've got that coming. And then the other film that we're going to cover is a wonderful 1985 classic called Gotcha, starring the great Anthony Edwards and the sultry Linda Fiorentino, directed by the great Jeff Canoe, who you may know from Revenge of the Nerds and other films like that. Nice. And it's such a great great film, and it involves the beginnings of the paintball craze.
Right.
Hope I didn't give anything away there.
No, that would continue in the TV series Spaced.
There you go.
If you have seen, you aware of Spaced, dude, where Simon Pegg and Nick Frost and right. There is the most famous episode of that show is the paintball episode, which I have got to say, Community definitely stole wholesale when Community came about. Yeah, in fact, there are so many things in Community where I'm like, oh yeah, that's Dan Harmon. They stole from everything. Dan Harmon watched Spaced and simply wrote it in a community college. So. Yes, the paintball craze starts now with Anthony Edwards, who I find to just be. I love him. He's wonderful, and like I remember when he showed up in Zodiac, I was just like, "Huh, I haven't seen him in a while, but here he is in fucking Zodiac." Just came out of retirement for a sweet ass minute. So
before we cut things off, I just want to say one of my favorite quotes from Gotcha.
Yes.
I thought he was KGB from Russia. He's a CPA from Encino. What are you, crazy?
Nice.
That's
it. It reminds me of the very last line of Biggles Lost in Time, Adventures in Time, which I strongly urge everyone track down, buy, and watch because it's mad as beans. But it also has like a really weird synth pop soundtrack that doesn't go with the idea of a World War I flying ace at all. But the very last line of the movie is, "Don't just stand around there while they work out you're not a god, you're actually an American." That's the last line of the movie.
Oh,
he's like, "Don't just stand around while they think you're a god. In fact, you're actually only an American." Oh, such a good line. So anyway, I'm just hyped up on adventure movies and spy movies and thrill movies.
Go.
Yeah, let's go. Yesterday I watched Biggles and then followed it up with Chuck Bronson in The Mechanic, the original 70s Mechanic. That is a movie. Oh, that is a movie. Jan Michael Vincent and Chuck Bronson in the original Mechanic before Jason Statham and Ben Foster remade it many years later.
I have to ask you real quick before we go. Did you see the movie with the Charles Bronson lookalike in it?
Oh, Roberto Bronzi or whatever his name is?
Yeah, Death Kiss. Have you seen that?
I did not see Death Kiss.
I found it on DVD for like $1 at the Dollar Tree. I own it, and I'm gonna watch it, and I can't wait.
My favorite thing about the store Dollar Tree is if you say the Dollar Tree, it sounds like idolatry, which is like worshipping a false idol, and the dollar being like the almighty dollar. It's like the worshipping of the. I know what they mean. They mean like money can grow on trees. Just come in and only buy something for $1. But I look at it and go, idolatry. Anyway, Roberto Bronzi, who's taken over because he looks a bit like Charles Bronson.
Jesus, he looks just like him. It's crazy.
I watched a movie with him in, I don't know which one it was. And after about 15 minutes, I was like, oh, right. The gimmick of this wears off almost instantly and does not sustain a movie at all.
I'm ready.
Because unlike Charles Bronson, he doesn't have Charles Bronson has that amazing occasionally, because Charles Bronson normally plays like the silent, strong type, or whatever, but will occasionally say, are you cooking chicken? I like chicken, and then walk into a couple's. I'm quoting from Death Wish 3 there, but he'll occasionally say something in his Charles Bronson way, and you're sort of like, oh, that's fantastic, because he doesn't have the voice you would think he would have. You'd think he'd have this deep and mysterious voice, but actually he has this sort of up voice like this. It's slightly got a lisp to it, and it's sort of hilarious to me whenever Bronson says a line in the movie. So I love that about Bronson. Roberto Bronzi, or whatever his name is, not so much. Does not have the delivery that Bronson has.
Oh, that's too bad.
Occasionally you want Bronson to just squint into the distance and be like, I smell chicken. And that doesn't happen in this movie. But I tried to sit down and watch one of the Bronzi movies just to be like... Do
you remember which one it was? From Hell to the Wild West, or Once Upon a Time in Deadwood? Cry Havoc, Escape from Death Block 13,
oh
or
God,
The Gardener.
He's already done so many.
He's done like 6 or 7.
Roberto. It is Bronzy, right?
It's Robert Bronzy.
Robert Bronzy. I'm just calling him Roberto just to be more fancy about it. Maybe it was Death Kiss. Or maybe it was The Gardener. What happens in Death Kiss? Is it about a lost daughter or something?
Yeah, I think Death Kiss is more along the lines of
Death Kiss. I watched
Wish.
Death Kiss, and after about 5 minutes, I was like, "Oh, this does not sustain." The gimmick of him looking like Charles Bronson does not sustain the running time.
What? Daniel Baldwin's in it though, and Richard Tyson from Kindergarten Cop.
Well, look, I love Homicide on the Life on the Street, so I'm a Daniel Baldwin fan from way back, but. I don't think I watched the movie I think for 20 minutes and Daniel Baldwin had not shown up yet, I don't think, and maybe if he had it he certainly wasn't in it for very long, so it just didn't do it for you, huh? It did not do it for me. I'm sorry. I'm all for the B movie exploitation trope of we have someone who looks a bit like someone else, so we're going to put him in a movie. I like the gusto of it and verve, much in the way that I like the gusto and verve of asylum films. I think have at it, make Sharktopus and Mega Shark versus half Godzilla, half Donkey, or whatever it is they're doing next. I'm all for the idea behind it. When I watch the execution, though, I'm often disappointed. Whereas when I watch Roger Corman, who kind of did those movies back in the day, I'm less disappointed because someone actually had to go make the monster. They had to cast the film. They actually had to do it. Yep. Now everyone just sits on a green screen and they throw CGI hydras at you. And you're like, I don't know. It just doesn't, it's fine. But it's, whereas conversely, the King Kong and Godzilla movies that they're doing, the big budget ones. I fucking love because they're littering them with all the B movie nonsense that I want, like the Carl Chandler character and who's the guy from Get Out and West Wing. I can't think of his name right now, but I know who you're talking about. Bradley Whitford. He's in one of them. Me and my friend Jim, we're huge fans of the Roland Emmerich movies, not Godzilla, but the Independence Day and 2012 and Day After Tomorrow and all those movies, because to me, I'm like, yes, the more ludicrous and the more big and exciting and stupid and crazy and character actors and put Steve Buscemi in and whatever, I'm happy. I'm happy. Do those kind of Dennis Quaid walking across the frozen tundra to find Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm all for it. The trouble is when you get down to the asylum movies, they just don't have anywhere near the chutzpah to be able to really, they don't go all out with the exploitation. Like they don't have people's guts being ripped out or heads taken off or tits and ass going all over the place. They don't go. They expect to sell the movie on the back of some ludicrous CGI thing that looks like it was drawn by a, ADD affected child. So I just, I'm less interested, and I find Robert Bronzy to be the CGI monster of Charles Bronson lookalikes.
That's an interesting take. I like it.
Because you look at it and you go, oh yeah, Charles Bronson in a whole bunch of new exploitation movies, but then you watch it and you go,
it's not him. Yeah, I understand. I'll let you know what I thought about it.
I would say watch Death Kiss, then go back and watch The Mechanic with Jan Michael Vincent and Chuck Bronson. It is epic. It's a Michael Winner joint. They go to Italy and shoot up the place. It's a joy. There is car chases. There's Bronson and Michael Vincent laughing it up in a biplane. Nice. There's karate. There's a weird party where everyone's getting high and making long-distance phone calls.
Wow.
I mean, it's just... It's a phenomenal movie. Michael Winner shoots the fuck out of it. It has a great twist at the end of the movie, and you will love it. Go watch The Mechanic. That's my Bronson recommendation. Watch Death Kiss by all means, but after that, check out The Mechanic, the original, and then check out the Statham one, because as remakes go, not a bad remake.
Okay.
Statham, Ben Foster, and Don Sutherland, the Don.
Ben Foster is fantastic.
Ben Foster, who would obviously, after being in The Mechanic with Jason Statham, would go on to be in what did he go on to be? He wasn't in. I'm not thinking of Breaking Bad. He was in something else.
Well, he was in Hell or High Water.
Hell or High Water. That was it. Yes, with the Bridges, with the dude.
Yes, yeah,
the dude. Because ever since The Big Lebowski, every role he plays as the dude. It's like after Johnny Depp did Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, every role after that he did as Hunter S. Thompson, even if he wasn't doing Hunter S. Thompson. Like when I know everyone sees Keith Richards when they watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I just see Hunter S. Thompson. It's Hunter S. Thompson, but with an English accent, because he's doing all the like arm moves and the weird walk and everything, and it's like. It's Hunter S. Thompson, man. Like every actor has this like quintessential role that they then can't shake off.
Yeah,
and then the rest of their filmography is either enhanced or mired, depending on the way you look at it. But I think Jeff Bridges, when you look at him in his post Lebowski roles, he's just playing the dude. The dude abides. That's great. I love it. I love it. Oh man, I'm in such a good mood again. I was having.
Well, I can't wait to watch. To watch. I actually started to do my gotcha rewatch the other night, so I need to finish it. I got about 20 minutes left, and I need to get my hands on the Never Too Young to Die Blu-ray so that I can catch up. And I'm looking at our tweeter.
Yes.
And whoa, wow! I got another. Do you know who Stargrave 18 is? Stargrave 18 said, I always thought Dial Tone from G.I. Joe was a Dabney Coleman from Cloak and Dagger action figure. Hard to kill, suction cup sneakers. That's all I can remember. It wasn't hard to kill. It was if looks could kill.
If looks could kill. Hard to kill.
The suction cup sneakers are pretty sweet, though.
They are pretty sweet.
The exploding gum is pretty cool.
Although you don't get to see the suction sneakers in action other than the very, like you see them go down the roof. Then the building blows up, and much like Cloak and Dagger, we didn't even make this connection, but much like Cloak and Dagger, there is an explosion at the end of it, out of which our heroes unexpectedly walk.
And then a big one for me, anyway. Do you remember the TV show Life Goes On?
No.
With Chris Burke, who was an actor who had Down syndrome.
Nope.
And okay, so it was a big show. At least in the States, it was a big show in like I want to say it was like the mid to late 80s.
Okay.
And the news just dropped today that they're going to be doing a sequel series. And do you know the actor Chad Lowe? I don't think he's related to Rob Lowe.
Chad Lowe?
Chad Lowe, yeah.
Has he
Look
got
him
Down
up.
syndrome?
No, he doesn't have Down syndrome.
Oh.
You'll recognize him. I think
he is the younger brother of actor Rob Lowe.
Is he? Okay, that's good. I wasn't sure because I was trying to think of who Angelina Jolie's brother is. Some guy that she used to like make out with in front of people, and it was really weird. And I couldn't remember if it was Chad Lowe or not. But anyway.
So Chad Lowe is playing the Chris Burke role?
No, he's not. He was another character. I think he was
Jesse McKee or something.
Chris Burke's sister's maybe like love interest or something like that. And
is Chris Burke still with us?
Yeah, he's like 54 or something like that.
56 he is.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
No, it's great because Down syndrome people don't always live.
I know
that long, which is fantastic.
Yeah. So I saw the news and I replied to his tweet. I hope that Chris will be involved if he wants to. And Chad Lowe liked the tweet. Man.
Yeah, dude, the Lowe liking the Toombs' tweet.
Lowe, man.
Boom.
But now I got to look up who Angelina Jolie's stepbrother is because.
And hang on. Something's happening with my headphones. There we go. Apparently, it had Kelly Martin in the original series.
Yes. Yep.
Who I know from ER.
Yeah.
But also, isn't she in, Death of a Cheerleader? She is.
All right.
And I remember watching her in Death of a Cheerleader as a 14-year-old boy and having a little bit of a crush.
Oh my, of course.
On the Kelly Martins.
As you would. I mean,
she was sort of had that Sarah Michelle Gellar thing before Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yep.
Patti LuPone was in it as well. Wow.
Yeah. Right.
Look at that right there, the LuPonester. Also, this was my tweet today. I don't know if you saw it yet, because Scream 5 is coming out. And my tweet was, because I know you're a fan of that series, right, dude?
Yeah, so I like the first one, and I don't much care for part 2. I don't remember. I don't remember
the best one.
I don't remember a lot about part 2 or part 3.
Okay.
I really liked part 4.
Oh, I didn't like part 4.
Okay. And I'm excited for part 5, and I'm seeing good things about it so far.
No, I'm seeing good things as well. But I was burnt horribly by Halloween 2018. But at least we'll see.
Did you see the new one? Even though you didn't like 2018, did you see Halloween Kills?
I'm done.
You didn't see Halloween Kills?
I'm done.
You hate it. I think you would hate it.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Halloween 2018 was enough to make me go, nope, I'm done. Enough with you, David Gordon Green. Be gone with your bad ideas of what you think the Halloween franchise is all about. How dare you, Jamie Lee Curtis, say that this is a more feminist Halloween just because it has 3 women in it. It's not a more feminist Halloween. It's a stupid Halloween. It's not feminist in any way at all. Halloween H2O is a much more female-empowered film than fucking Halloween 2018. And how dare you denounce Halloween H2O, Jamie Lee Curtis? I'm upset at you. I'm sad at you that you denounced Halloween H2O in an interview recently. I'm mad about it.
Shame on her.
Shame on her. But it's funny, dude. You and I often disagree, like majorly on certain movies. But the movies we talk about on the show, we always agree. We have that sweet spot where we gel, and it's fantastic. You know that I my rants you can take with a pinch of salt. Yeah. But my tweet today, I just want to let you know, just because I thought it was funny. Scream 2, this is my tweet. Scream 2 is the best film, because people were kind of talking about like what they thought about different Scream movies. Yeah. Scream 2 is the best film. Scream is the best beginning and ending of any of the films. Okay. Scream 3 is the funniest, and Scream 4 was boring. Scream 5 is also called Scream. Yeah. What? Are they afraid that audiences can't count anymore? And then I said, at least call it Scream, but with the S as a 5. It's right there staring you in the face, dude. Yep. 7 that shit. Put the 5 at the beginning. Scream. Boom. Come on now. It writes itself.
It really does.
What are you doing? Also, I hate this. I mean, that's the only thing that bothers me about the new Scream is I hate the idea that some marketing person somewhere said, well, we want it to be a movie that anyone can watch, because obviously they want to get everyone back in the theaters because of COVID or whatever. So let's just call it Scream, because if we call it Scream 5, they're going to think we're going to have to watch 4 movies in order to go see it. But I'm like, it has the original cast in it. There's no way round that. It's part 5. It's not a reboot. It's part 5. So don't just call it Scream again, because guess what? There's a movie with this cast in it called Scream. That's just confusing.
Let me ask you this, because I don't know that I ever saw anything from you about it, but did you see the new Ghostbusters movie?
Not yet. No.
Not yet, okay.
The weird thing is so Ghostbusters Afterlife came out, and the James Bond Never Too Young to Die. Never Too Young to Die, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It's basically called that, right?
Yeah, No Time to Die.
No Time to Die. Came out, and
did you see that?
Ghostbusters I don't have any problem with, but for whatever reason, call it my malaise last year or whatever. Yeah. I just didn't rush out to go see it. It's on my watch list. Yeah. I'll probably rent it when it goes down to like $5.99, or when my friend buys it on Vudu, I'll borrow it from him or whatever. Funny thing is that since this conversation took place, I have actually seen Ghostbusters Afterlife and written a full review of it for AfterMovieDiner.com. So head on over to AfterMovieDiner.com once this episode finishes and read my review of Ghostbusters Afterlife. Hear a man wrestling with his movie-based midlife crisis in the most glorious of ways. Thank you. I'm just not... It's funny to me that a Bond movie came out and a new Ghostbusters came out. Movies that I would know... And Scream is coming out. Yeah. Movies that I would normally be like uber pumped. But somewhere along the line, I'm getting far more excited for like other movies, even older movies, some new movies. But just the endless kind of sequels, remakes, reboots, changes. I've not liked really any. I'm the one person who likes Quantum of Solace as the best Daniel Craig movie.
I remember we debated that.
I can explain it on scratch paper. I can point out why it's the best one. I can tell you why it's the best one. I can explain from a plot reason, a scripting reason, an acting reason why it's the best one. But and all the others have just sort of disappointed me, and not from a movie perspective. They're all very well made movies, but from a plot. From a Bond plot. I mean, literally the last one, Spectre, was a remake of Austin Powers' Goldmember. Yeah. And I'm just like, you made Blofeld his brother? Are you shitting me? Like, what? That's literally an Austin Powers joke. Yeah. Like, at that point, I sort of lost my rag with it. So when the new one came out and everyone was talking it up, because for some reason, new things come out, and it doesn't matter if it's a piece of shit. If it has a certain person's name on it, everyone fucking swaps to it. Yep. It's like every time Benedict Cumberbatch so much as farts on screen, people think it's the best thing that's ever happened, even though I haven't seen a single film with him in it that's any good at all. And same with Adam Driver and all these other guys who people just think are fucking amazing. And I'm like, point to one moment they were amazing. But so Bond came out, Ghostbusters came out. I don't know what it was, man. I just couldn't get excited. I will see Ghostbusters. I'll rent it. I'll watch it. But I just couldn't get pumped about it. I just couldn't. I don't know why. It just wasn't in me. And no negativity towards it. I hope it's great. I hope when I watch it, it's all of the good things.
You like it, yeah.
It's just a real difficult thing to...
It's a weird time. It's a weird time for movies.
Well, it's also a real difficult thing to kind of say, well, because you can't help but think that Ghostbusters Afterlife comes out as a reaction to the female Ghostbusters. Mm-hmm. And the female Ghostbusters is not a bad movie because they're female. That wasn't the reason why it's a bad movie. But because when you say it's a bad movie, everyone just attacks you you get this mud and this like woke chasm of Twitterverse. And I just at a certain point I'm like, right, I can't discuss that. Yeah. But then I can't help but thinking in a reaction to that, because I'm not against. I would love to have seen another Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon Ghostbusters movie, like done right. I would love for them to have got a sequel where they kind of did it better, where they kind of fixed the problems with the first one. Yeah. Seeing this one come out, especially post Ramis's death, it's I can't help but feel there's a little bit of, don't worry, guys, the men are back again. And I'm like, no, you've missed the point. You've missed the point. It wasn't the fact that the men are back. It's not the fact that I want to see old fat Dan Aykroyd fucking put a strap, put a backpack back on again. It seems to me like, and I might be wrong. I might watch it and absolutely adore it. I don't know.
Yeah. I think you might.
And I think I might. It's getting 7 out of 10 routinely all over the place. It's getting great reviews. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. I haven't watched a lot of trailers, so I haven't really spoiled it for myself. Yeah. And I'm glad that they've kept the cameos and the storyline more or less under wraps. So I don't know when Aykroyd and all show up. I don't know. Yeah. They haven't released that, so I'm happy about that. And I like Paul Rudd and Jason Reitman doing it. It's great. Yeah. Hand over the reins. That's fine. I'm all for that. I just can't help but be like, people are praising it because like, oh, at last we have the men back in it, which is sort of missing the point.
I don't feel for me, I never looked at it that way. I always felt like, as far as the Ghostbusters fandom, they the last movie with all the women, I just didn't think it was good.
No, it's not a good movie. And it's not funny. It's not well plotted.
Nobody wanted a reboot. You know what I mean? No. Nobody wanted a remake. And now we're getting something that's set in the original universe, an actual sequel. That's what everybody wanted. Everybody wanted an actual sequel to the original films. And so that's that's the way that I always looked at it. I never looked at it like, oh, but everybody hates this movie because it's a bunch of women starring in it. If it was a bunch of women starring in it, but it was a direct sequel to the first two movies,
right,
and a better movie.
Well, I had a way to solve it.
People would have liked it.
The way to solve it would have been, you have the Ghostbusters we know and love, still kicking ass in New York and doing their thing.
Yeah.
This is the other thing that's weird to me, is that every single Ghostbusters movie, even the second one that came out 5 years after the first one, they put all the ghosts back in the box as if ghosts don't exist anymore and start afresh. And I'm like, everyone knows they're a ghost. Like, the whole point of Ghostbusters is that you became this big, like, phenomenon.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that the third one should have started... in New York, whatever, they're taking care of just regular ghost things. They're a bit over the hill, but they can still kind of hack it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then shit goes down. Like, Aykroyd writes some script where some big mad beastie or whatever is trying to take over the whole country. And suddenly, in the same way that charities have done around the country, because every town and state has its own, like, Ghostbusters, the Pittsburgh Ghostbusters, the Philadelphia Ghostbusters, or whatever. And they do charity work. They show up in the Ecto one and whatever. And they're always at the conventions and things and whatever. There's probably a Boston Ghostbusters. And I just thought, like, using that as the model, you just have the guys in New York. They're a bit too old to cut it, but they're still the experts. They're still the guys who know. And ghosts start cropping up all around the country. Ghosts start cropping up in California and in Boston and whatever, way too much for them to handle. And you tell a story kind of a bit like Die Hard 4, where he's kind of traveling from state to state and trying to get to whatever. But instead of them traveling, you have them communicating with other Ghostbuster groups around the country. And the one you focus on, pick Boston, pick Philly, pick LA, pick wherever, are the four women. They happen to be four women in that town who've been fighting ghosts and blah, 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 blah. And then away you go. And all you need to do is write good jokes. That's all that needed to be in the thing. And ease back on the CGI madness. I mean, the last half of that, the 2016 Ghostbusters was just CGI vomitous, and it was just too much. So that was my idea, and I don't understand why they didn't do that. And I don't understand why then the original Ghostbusters show up as cameos, but they're not the Ghostbusters, but they kind of are, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Like, so that was my problem with the first one. It wasn't the women at all. I love all of those women. I want to see movies with those women in all the time. I loved the Melissa McCarthy superhero with Octavia Spencer.
I don't know if I ever saw that.
Thunder Force. It's on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Really,
really good. Really funny. Jason Bateman plays a guy with crab for hands, which is just hilarious. But I love that movie. So I wanted to see that, but we didn't get that movie.
Yeah.
And then it's not that I think that... I think Ghostbusters 3 gets made the way it's getting made right now because of the backlash to that other movie. I don't think that that's what this movie is about. I think this movie is probably like it's a combination of, well, we can't let the 2016 movie be the last Ghostbusters movie we make.
Yeah.
And, Aykroyd and Murray probably want to just kind of like honor Ramis in some way, because I know Murray had a big bust up with Ramis that was kind of put to bed, but kind of not.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure Jason Reitman and whoever wrote it, had a decent idea that people kind of thought, oh, that'll work. And it looks like from the trailer, and I don't know, that they're off the back of Stranger Things, they're like, well, we'll get a bunch of kids in and then they can kind of take over when we all die, kind of thing.
Yeah.
If they want to carry on or if they don't.
Sure.
And so I'm not against any of those ideas in concept. That's all fine. That makes sense to me. Honor Ramis, have a bunch of young kids in it. Get Paul
I think you'll go.
you
know what? After hearing you say all this, I think you'll probably go 50-50 on it.
Yeah, but I
think you'll like a lot of it, but I think you probably won't like a lot of it.
in a way, dude, I just think I'm getting to the age where, it's a lot of people say, like, when a sequel comes out, they go, "Oh, or a remake comes out, everyone complains that they're ruining the original."
Yeah,
it's not about that. It's just I've got to the point where I'm like, I like the movies that I like. I I don't necessarily like movies, period, that are coming out now. Every year, the movies I like are sort of less and less. The modern movies. I rediscover a bunch of movies from the 60s, 70s, 80s that I fucking love.
Sure.
And I still love movies. But the more modern movies come out, the less I'm really engaged with them. Marvel was fine up until the Avengers. And then after that, I'm sort of not going with them into the whole 5th phase, 6th phase, 7th phase, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's become too unwieldy. I was never a Star Wars guy, so the Star Wars movies kind of are not on my radar. You know, DC, I'm not a particular fan of in general. I liked Wonder Woman, the first one. I liked the first 2 Nolan Batmans. That's kind of where I leave that. Shazam was okay, actually. I didn't mind Shazam, but I don't know. It just, you know, Bond's stayed its course and kind of done. Bond's kind of done its course and is done for me. You know, unless they come up with a really dynamic way to continue the franchise, they should probably just let it die now, because from what I understand in the new movie, Bond dies. So but they can't decide what the lineage of this new 4 or 5 movies is anyway. They can't decide if he's new Bond, old Bond, the first Bond. You know, they can't decide. Every single movie he's a different iteration of Bond. And I'm
That's true. It's very true.
Didn't Casino Royale, wasn't that a whole reboot? Like, isn't he meant to be, that was his first case? And then by the
Skyfall.
Then by Skyfall, he's over the hill. I'm like, what? Like, none of it makes any sense. So,
and all the old gadgets are in there. And
now they're going to kill him and they're going to make someone else James Bond. And I'm like, so you're just retconning the whole fucking franchise at this point. So I don't know, dude. I'd rather go forward with movies. Like the Dave Grohl trailer came out today for the Haunted Rock Studio movie.
The new Ty West movie had a trailer. I love Ty West.
Ty West stuff's great. I would rather. I loved Jacob's whatever the vampire movie with Barbara Crampton and Fessenden in it.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's very good.
Really loved that one. I'd rather cherry pick a few. I love French Dispatch. I'd rather cherry pick a few new movies that I really love and cherish them. I rewatched Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot the other night. Still a fantastic,
I like that a lot. That was good.
Fucking movie that should have got a lot more play. And I've just kind of, you know, everyone gets old, everyone gets their middle age, everyone kind of gets over the hill and gets to a point where the next generation takes over. And we all fight against it, initially. Some go with it, and others, I'm being very pragmatic about it. I'm saying, let the new generation do what they're going to do. Nobody gives a fuck about my opinion. We're going to get Scream the remake, Scream the reboot, Scream the sequel, Scream the whatever. Yeah. And so let them have it. Let them go on, as people constantly try and tell me online, you have the originals on your shelf. Stop shitting on people's fun. So I'm like, all right,
whatever.
I'm not shitting on anyone's fun. Have at it. They're not for me. They don't excite me. They don't get me excited. I saw Ghostbusters, you know, on VHS as a kid, and it meant the world to me. It still means the world to me. I've seen it on the big screen. I've seen it on 4K. I've seen it on Blu-ray, DVD, VHS. That's my movie. It's an expertly written movie, and you're not telling me that any movie that gets made between now and the end of time is going to be as good, as well written as that movie. It just isn't. I don't care what you do with a franchise. You know, they've done, you know, lunchboxes and T-shirts and animated and computer games and do whatever you want with the franchise. Make Dan Aykroyd fat, old, and rich. Make Dan Aykroyd's kids fat, old, and rich. Happy. Go with love. But I don't know. It doesn't excite me anymore. I'll see Scream 5, I'll see the last Bond movie, and I'll see Ghostbusters Afterlife, but none of them are revving my engine. That's kind of where my response these days are just going to be, they don't rev my engine. It just is what it is. I'll go see Thor Love and Thunder, but it just doesn't rev my engine anymore. It is what it is. I like Thor 2. Nobody else likes Thor 2. I like Thor 2. So. I love Iron Man 3. Nobody else loves Iron Man 3. To me, Iron Man 3 is the best Marvel movie.
I have to revisit a lot of those movies. I have to revisit a lot of them.
So, you know, I'm out of touch. I'm out of time.
We all are.
I am who I am. And listen, dude, I've chosen to
just let me watch Gotcha every weekend, and I'll be happy. I don't care.
You can watch Gotcha as often as you like. So can I, dude, because I have it.
I'm like I can't, like, I was checking the last 2 days. I was checking your letterbox to see if you had watched it yet, because I want to know.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. It's right there. Boom. Gotcha. Got it on the Blu-rays.
Is that the Kino Lorber release?
It is the Kino Lorber release. It has the audio commentary by director Jeff Canoe and also by entertainment journalist and author Brian Reisman.
He's a good dude. I tweeted at him, actually, and he
the Reisman.
Yeah. Okay. He loves this movie, so it was kind of fun. I didn't know. Well, the reason I tweeted him was because in the commentary he mentioned how. Oh,
you have this disc too?
Yeah. Nice. He mentioned how I can't remember the name of the company, but there's one company that puts out all the soundtracks for like everything.
Mondo?
No.
Wax something?
No, not Waxwork either. It was something different. They do mostly CDs. They don't do like vinyl or anything like that.
Okay.
I can't remember what they're called. But anyway, he mentioned them, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't know that the score for Gotcha got like a CD release. Thanks for talking about it on the thing. And he was like, oh yeah, man, blah, 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 whatever. So I ended up buying the CD release for the score.
Nice.
I wish I could remember what the name of La La Land. I think it's La La Land Records.
Okay.
You should check them out. They have a lot. I think they even put out the score for Cloak and Dagger at one point, but you can't get that anymore for less than like $50.
No.
But yeah, they put out a lot of really good film scores and film soundtracks. I think they even have the soundtrack and score for the movie Dutch on there, which, as you know, is my favorite Thanksgiving film of all time.
It's your favorite Thanksgiving film of all time.
Yes.
We need to do that next year as a Thanksgiving special.
Oh, heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
But no, dude, this was great. I love these movies, and I'm very happy about movies these days. And
yeah, definitely.
I watched The French Dispatch, and I loved every single grainy inch of that movie. And it's nice to see the odd new movie and love it. I genuinely love what my friends Matt Farley and Charlie Roxburgh are putting out. They just put out a couple of movies last year, one of which I'm in, one of which has a song of mine in. I'm in the two new ones that they're making this year, and I love that stuff.
I gotta watch their stuff, man. Matt's he's a character. I've last semester, before I went on Christmas break on my way home from work, occasionally I would see that he was doing a Twitter, I don't know what they call it, like a room or whatever, like a Twitter room or something.
On his walk homes or his walk.
So I was listeling in. Okay, he's a good dude, man. I like him.
He's a really good dude. He just put out a book of all his creative wisdom, which is
the modern way, or the
Moturn way.
The Moturn way. Yeah.
I love it, and so I still get excited by stuff. It's just these sequels, man. Trust me, I know exactly how you like. I don't know. I feel like it's easy for me to get excited about stuff, but at the same time, I understand your point of view as well. Yeah,
you know
of
what
course.
I mean?
Yeah. No, and and I don't want to. I think my friend Mark McDonald put out today on Twitter, I'm going to try and celebrate the pop culture I do like, rather than attacking the pop culture I don't like.
Sure. Yeah.
This is what Mark McDonald was saying, and I was like, I feel like that's who I am. I get accused of being the other dude a lot of the time, but I actually feel like I trumpet the stuff that you listen to the podcast. I don't cover shit I hate. I don't do podcasts where I just hate fuck something for 90 minutes. I talk about shit that I love. The odd occasion that we would go to the cinema and see a Halloween 2018 and come out and go, oh fuck, we're going to talk about this. Baby Driver is a famous one. I came out of the theater.
Oh, you hated that
one. Just hated it with a burning passion. Not even a burning passion. That's wrong. I hated it with like I was just exhausted by how, I was just tired by how much I didn't enjoy the film.
Yeah.
And Jim and I sat down in the diner to talk about the film, and we recorded it, and I listened back to it later, and it was so depressing that I'm like, I'm not putting that out. I don't want that to be that episode has never seen the light of day, because it's not, and it wasn't because
What's the point, right?
Well, A, what's the point? But secondly, the film actively depressed me, and I don't want to put that out into the world. I think people think I hate on shit because everyone else loves it, and therefore I'm finding things that people love to hate on. It's not... I happen to not like things that the masses occasionally glom onto and make it their mission in life to tell me how great it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like... It's, I didn't like it. And then they're like, what do you mean you didn't like it? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, then I'm forced to defend it and forced to have an opinion and it's one of those things where I'm like, listen, I just didn't like the movie. Yeah. I didn't bring it up. You brought it up. And then it's a whole thing. And so, I get accused of being this hater. I'm not. I'm a guy who fucking loves movies. Cloak and Dagger is a movie that, it's 40 years old or whatever it is, 38 years old. I'd never seen it in my life, never seen a trailer, never seen anything. And I fucking loved it from start to finish. So it's not that there aren't movies out there that I can't discover and love and be passionate about. It's not that I've become jaded about all films. It's just people don't believe it. I watch new films. I watch them wanting to enjoy them. I watch them wanting them to be a discovery. I watch them wanting them to reignite my love for a certain franchise or reignite my love for a certain character. And 9 times out of 10, they don't. That just is what it is. I didn't like Rambo 5. I thought he should have left it at Rambo 4. Rambo 4 was a great ending to the franchise. Yeah. Knock it. I didn't like Rambo 5. It felt... So there's things like that where I'm just like, I'm allowed to have an opinion, But I'm trying not to. I'm trying to only put positivity into the world. But that's where I come at it from, dude.
I hear you. You're my boy.
But I love that you love the stuff that you love. I've never attacked you for loving the stuff that you love.
No,
I love that you like the Snyder Cut and you were all about it. That's great. I'm glad that came out for you. That made me happy that you got to see that. Yeah,
it was awesome.
I have zero interest, but you loving it made me happy that you love it.
That's good. I'm glad.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to shit on it just because it's Snyder.
No, I know what you're saying. Well, that's one of my other friends does do that, and he basically shits on every DC movie, which each to their own. But sometimes I feel like he does it, and I'm always like, dude, I like this stuff, so why do you shit on it in front of me? You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But it is what it is. But yeah, no, I was happy when that came out.
No, I love Wonder Woman
like 5 times. So.
Wonder Woman to me is it's like that's one of my favorites. The early Batmans are great. The
Wonder Woman was the closest that they got to like recreating the feel of the first Superman movie, in my opinion.
Yes,
I thought it was just right on that level. It was a really, really, really good origin film. So.
I haven't seen any of the Aquamans. I just haven't because I just didn't go down that road.
Yeah.
I went through... I'm trying to think.
Did you see Wonder Woman 84?
I did.
The sequel? Yeah. Did you... Yeah, I was same. I was like, I don't know. I don't understand.
I did go all the way through up to the Justice League.
Yeah.
And I watched... Because there was one time where I was just
the Justice League?
Yeah, well... I mean, I don't know, whatever. It was bad. I knew that.
Yeah, it was bad.
But and I said, because I felt like I was this person was negative towards DC movies. And I'm like, no, fuck it. I'm going to sit down and kind of give them all a chance. And I watched all the Batmans. I watched Batman v Superman. I watched all the different Superman movies.
Did you watch Shazam?
Shazam, I watched.
Shazam, yep.
Shazam, I liked. Shazam and Wonder Woman are my 2 favorite, more recent DC movies. Yeah. Because Dark Knight and Batman Begins feels a long time ago now.
I know.
I know they're canon, but still. So I like all those. And I watched. I did my due. I watched all of them. I did not watch. Wait a minute. I did watch Aquaman 1, the first one, in the lead up to the Justice League.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild, that movie. It's okay.
But, and then I watched the 2, it's Batman v Superman and Justice League are the 2, it's their Civil War and Avengers kind of thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I didn't like Civil War, so. But yeah, and it's just, if I tell you my favorite Marvel movie is Iron Man 3, and my favorite Marvel movie prior to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Howard the Duck, and with no irony, genuinely my favorite DC movie, Marvel movie.
I actually like The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren. I actually really like that one.
I do. I like that. I like Punisher Warzone, but to me, they're kind of outliers. I even like the Thomas Jane Punisher. All the Punisher movies are fine, but Howard the Duck is my favorite pre-Marvel Cinematic Universe Marvel movie, and Iron Man 3 is my favorite Marvel movie, and no one else but me understands it, and that's fine. Yeah. That's absolutely fine.
Let me ask you this. Have you seen Shang-Chi yet?
No, because I think after the last 5 Avengers movies or whatever, they spread a story that could have been told in 90 minutes over 5 movies. Whatever that one was, once Tony Stark died, I was like, I will probably watch the In the Mouth of Madness or whatever they're calling the Doctor Strange, because it's Sam Raimi, so I just want to see what he does with it. I've seen the first 2 Spider-Men, the Homecoming and Far From Home. And then the third one is
No Way Home. Yeah.
I will watch No Way Home when it comes streaming.
So good.
I saw the multiverse Spider-Man animation one.
That's incredible. That's a great movie.
Which was good.
Yeah.
I will have to watch Shang-Chi or whatever it is at some point.
Shang-Chi. I think you'll like Shang-Chi because it's really it's not really connected to any of the other movies.
Right.
But I'll say one thing. I think you'll like Shang-Chi because it's not really connected to any of the other Marvel movies with the exception of one.
Okay.
Iron Man 3.
Really?
There is a connection. Yep. And I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay. If the connection is that William Sadler is still president, then I'll be very happy. But I can't believe they set up William Sadler as the president of the MC universe and then never bring him back.
Bastards.
God, bastards. And they had fucking Miguel Ferrer in there, and they had all the 80s guys. It was great. That's such a good movie. People should.
Hey, did you like VFW with Sadler and Kobe?
I loved it. That was great. That was great.
I bought the 4K. I bought the 4K for that.
What was the I love Iron Man 3. I watched the whole entire series of Loki.
Yeah.
I've tried to watch.
I didn't watch that yet. I'm so behind on everything.
I've tried to watch WandaVision 4 times and never got past episode 4. I got so excited for the Hawkeye series because I'm like, it's Hawkeye Saves Christmas in New York. That sounds great. Yeah. And I watched the first episode and I'm like, nope, done, bored, already bored. Like, I'm like, how do you do a trailer like that? Yeah, I saw the trailer and it was all like,
not deliver it. Yeah.
Christmas and comedy and I'm like, I'm going to fucking love this. This is going to be Jeremy Renner doing a bit of action hero, a bit of comedy, which we know he can do because he's kind of done a bit of both.
Yep.
You've got the female character in there, which is fantastic. You've got New York setting at Christmas and all this great stuff. I got halfway through the second episode. I'm like, I can't even keep watching this. I'm bored.
That's too bad. The only ones I watched were WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I really liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I thought it was
I did not watch that one, but I probably have to because I like Mackie and and I want to see because one thing I really liked about the end of the Avengers was Cap giving Mackie the shield and that
So you definitely need to watch that then because it dives into that.
I want to watch that, and then I watched Black Widow, and Jesus, that's bad. It's just such a bad film. It's such a bad film.
But I do like, what's her name? Florence Puke is what I call her.
Florence Pugh.
Dina gets so mad at me when I call her that because she likes her. I'm just like, oh yeah, Florence Puke.
Well, I liked her in that Fighting with My Family movie.
Yeah, she was so good in that. She played Paige. Yeah. And she's in Midsommar too, right?
She is, but I'm not.
She's in Midsommar. Yeah.
You can't make a horror movie that's 3 hours long. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Did you see it?
No.
Yeah.
But you can't make a horror movie. It's like making a comedy that's 3 hours long.
Is it really that long?
It's like 2.5 hours, I think. Yeah.
I watched it. It was okay.
My thing is this.
I liked Hereditary better.
You can't make a comedy and you can't make a horror movie over 90 minutes. You can't be scared much longer than about 45, 50 minutes, and you can't laugh much longer than... Judd Apatow, once his movie's pushed over 2 hours long, I'm like...
Jesus Christ. Wasn't This Is 40? Wasn't that like 3 hours long?
There's a director's cut on Blu-ray that's like 3 hours long, yeah. I'm like, dude, you're not that funny. If you want to really make things that are this long, turn it into a TV series for Netflix. One of the reasons why I did this, and this is the last thing I'll say honestly, and then we can go, but is that if I was going to continue the show at all, especially having been... Because Kim and I have more or less isolated for 2 months. It's not that we haven't seen anybody, but we haven't seen a lot of people.
Very cautious.
We've basically been 2 years. We've basically been isolating for 2 years.
Yeah.
And so if I was going to continue to do the show at all, it was like this, where I get to have some more long-form chats with some old friends who I made through doing the podcast, and see if I can't find some gas in the old tank yet. And I'm finding gas in the tank, so I'm happy about that.
That's what it's all about. I can't wait for the next chat, my friend.
We will talk in 2 weeks, sir. Be right here with winter on my back, and I will hold steady, dig right in. You will save the season and myself from endless tailspin. I'm too old for fighting back. I have my own way you may not notice, or you may be well aware, and I will always be around. Wait for lifetimes passing and make a new hometown. It's all ongoing, hope and fear collide. Avoid the conflict or pick a side. Stay alive and protect inside. Thread the reins and enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. Engines are failing, overthrown history. Expectations need scaling back, and motive is a mystery. Run or claim your place in a soon to